Okay, welcome to another meeting of Midnight Discovery. Today we are going to be talking about something super important. But yeah, if you're interested in coming to Midnight Discovery, it's in Knoxville, Tennessee, 2500 Sutherland Avenue, Knoxville, Tennessee. Meetings Tuesday at 5 o'clock, and then we schedule more meetings throughout the week as we feel like it. All right, so my name's Keller, as far as that matters.
Phil.
All right.
Sean, it's good to meet you all.
Okay, guys. So for both the camera and the room at large, going to do something what I feel super important today. Talk about the fundamental business economics of a cryptocurrency, particularly Ethereum. But this applies to all your cryptocurrencies. And if I got little Excel charts available for download online. I got all these graphs and everything else I'll go over today available online. So you can grab all that stuff, and if you do this, you can know what the price of your cryptocurrency is going to be in the future.
I like the way that sounds.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is figure out what is the price of Ethereum, what can it be or what will it be in the future, and then we'll also figure out. Well, I didn't get the info for Bitcoin. But if you want to know Bitcoin, because a lot of people are interested in that one, now that's going to be a tale for another day.
The granddaddy.
Yeah, the granddaddy. Okay, the first chart I'm going to go over is this one here. It is, this is some pie charts here. So, of course you can read the information, but I'm going to mostly summarize what it is. It's just a pie chart of equal size colors here. But, okay, so if we look at that first pie chart, the one at the top, okay, that orange little slice there represents $13 million on the top left. February 2017, Ethereum spent $13 million in order to protect its blockchain. Each little slice next to that is every other month prior to that. So this is, so what you do for, actually, let me start back. And just start with the basic economics of blockchain before I go into the details. I think that's going to be a good idea. Okay. So when you set up your blockchain, there's two ways in which you secure or protect your blockchain from 51% attack. One way that you protect the blockchain from 51% attack is if it's in heavy usage and the transactions are full, then the people who use the blockchain, they pay an appropriate amount based on the cost of electricity and computers, based on today's information, and transaction fees in order to send their transactions across the network. So I don't know what this amount actually amounts to, but for Bitcoin, let's just pretend it's probably a lot more. But let's just pretend it's 20 million a month for Bitcoin and 10 million a month for Ethereum. This is going to be a fairly consistent amount based on the known cost for electricity and computers today. So this is the summation of quarters and 50 cents that you pay sending Ethereum and Bitcoin back and forth.
Does it depend also on the monetary flow, the amount that is flowing through of transactions, or is it?
It's sort of as the transactions fill up. Of course, the goal of blockchain is to not have them fill up. You just make bigger blocks or make more frequent blocks as they start to fill up, so you have a workaround for that. But if they become consistently more than 80% full or something like that, then rather than a quarter for Ethereum and 50 cents for Bitcoin, it might go to 50 cents and $1.
Because you wanted your transaction
to
go through, and so if you've got more of a transaction fee that you're willing to pay, it's called gas, right? You put a higher gas limit.
Yeah.
And so if you put your transaction with a higher gas limit, the miners are more likely to process your transaction, and so you're more likely to get it passed through faster because you're willing to pay a higher amount. And so they're going to say, okay, I want that one. That guy's paying 75 cents. I don't want these 50-cent guys down here.
Okay.
So they'll put you in the block faster that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But it doesn't depend so much on the total dollar amount. It's because you just have bigger transactions.
Right. I mean,
Well, it doesn't.
am I
yeah,
getting this
no,
right?
you got that perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, it did you say it doesn't depend on the total dollar amount?
Right.
Yeah, it does not.
Yeah.
And so basically, if you have, like, let's say 80% fullness might be a great target or something like that. If you have 80% fullness, then, and you have this consistently, not only on Thanksgiving, not only on Christmas, then you'll have like, 20 million or whatever the case may be supporting a blockchain each month. It may be more like 50 million. I'm not actually positive of what the numbers for Bitcoin and Ethereum are.
Yeah.
But let's just say it's 20 million and then 10 million for Ethereum.
All right.
Seems fair.
Go on.
Okay, right. And then there's, and this expense is paid by people who send transactions, so they pay for the expense. And then the miners get the reward, of course. Now, they also get a secondary reward. The first reward is transaction fee reward, and the secondary reward I call empty block bonus. Empty block space bonus. So, when a blockchain starts, you can predictably say that there will be no transactions going back and forth, or very few, when a blockchain starts. So instead what they do is they give away a portion of the blockchain in order to entice people to host it. So Bitcoin started with maybe 20% of the blockchain it was giving away each year.
50 Bitcoins per block. I don't know what that ended up to be.
It's something around 20%.
Yeah.
Bitcoin was giving away 20% of the blockchain in order for people to host it each year for a few years, and then it went down to 16, 12, and now it's down to 4%. And then so Bitcoin gives away 4% of its blockchain every year to pay people for hosting, which is a value that was established in 2009. So in 2009, the guy who essentially invented blockchain effectively, Satoshi Nakamoto, but that's just an alias. That just means wise source. A lot of people have theories on who the guy is, but it's regardless, so we'll ignore that.
Yeah.
And so this guy in 2009 had to estimate what percent of his Bitcoins he should give away in order to help people to host it, and he just took a wild guess at 4%. So this is effectively before blockchains had been invented. So he guessed in 2009, in 2017 I should pay 4%. Okay, so so then there is, so Ethereum, just to go on, Ethereum was paying 14.75% of its blockchain every year for people to host it.
And sorry to interrupt, but is this what they originally planned? Is this like how they laid it out in their white paper?
14.7. No, this is a different thing.
Okay.
So their white paper smart contracts, they've done that.
Right.
And then there's the second thing with this, which is Casper, which is where they pay nothing.
Okay.
Casper pays nothing for the people to host it. It's a staked system,
right.
which is a little bit, it's proof of stake, and that issue, let's save that for another day.
Yeah.
But
okay.
So no, you're fine. But so Ethereum was to pay extremely little or have no inflation. The original goal was to have 90 million coins and that's it, but that's largely intended for Casper. This is Metropolis, which will be released in a month or two, or 3 months, and I'm hoping that we get this into Metropolis, and if we do, and if you see what I'm about to show you here, it can make a world of difference. Okay, but moving on.
Yeah.
So so you set that empty block space bonus award for when there are not transactions, and you give away a percent of your blockchain every year in order to secure that. Ethereum was set to 14.75, and now it's at 11.6%.
Okay.
So it comes down over time?
With Ethereum's case, it just happened to come down. Well, it's a fixed amount, and as the amount gets bigger, then it comes down in a very, 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 very slow fashion.
As opposed to Bitcoin, which came down.
Well, it comes down 50% every 5 years.
Which is a.
Yeah, 50% cuts is a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Right. If you're a miner, it's a big game changer
Well,
versus the previous month when you used to earn like 25 Bitcoins and now you only get 12.5 for that same block.
Yeah, that's
And
for the
just to
same
be
amount of
clear-
work.
You're right, exactly. And the same amount of electricity, the same amount of cost. So just to be clear, these empty block rewards, that's basically like the fixed cost that the miners are going to get for the block no matter what. No matter how many transactions are in the block, they're going to get a fixed reward for that block.
Well,
For
see,
mining it?
that's a little bit different. I mean, that is true. They do get a fixed reward,
Yeah.
but the fixed reward is a percent of the market cap. So as the market cap changes, the fixed reward does change. Now the percentage is always the same, and the number of blocks, like, I mean, that's I think the
Right.
point you're making.
Yeah.
The point you're making is exactly right. The number of bitcoins, the number of Ethereum, is always the same, but in terms of U.S. dollars or Chinese yen, the amount is it's a percent of market cap. So if the market cap triples, your payout triples.
Right.
Regardless on if you spent more or not, that does not matter. It is simply whatever happens with Bitcoin. This is also the amount of expense that will be paid as a percentage. So as you can kind of imagine, the cost of a computer in 2009 was some amount of dollars. Let's just call it $500 or something like this, and then in 2017, the cost of a computer is maybe $1,000 or something. I'm just making
Same computer power?
Yeah, same computer as 500. I'm just
If
making
not
up
more, probably.
I'm just making up stuff, but
I'm
let's
with you, yeah,
let's
that's
pretend
reasonable.
let's just pretend it's gone from 500 to $1,000. I'm just making up that story. So it's gone about 100% increase.
Oh, it's increased? No.
I'm just even making up a story.
Okay.
I'm just even making up a story that it's increased.
But let's make it reasonable. If anything, the price of the computer would come
It's
down.
gone down. You're right. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
it started
okay.
at 1,000, now it's 500.
Now
Right.
it's fine. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
That's
Okay. Now let's just say the price of Bitcoin. What has Bitcoin done since 2009 to 2017?
Gone up 1,500%.
Yeah, this is what
Or
it feels
more,
like.
Yeah.
Let's just pretend Bitcoins were $1. They were much less, but it's now $2,000. So a very significant percentage increase, and so the cost that Bitcoin agreed to pay the computer people, which was a wild guess in 2009, based on what the value of Bitcoin would be in 2017, is 4%. Okay. So, and this is in the event that there are no transactions in the block. This is your
Empty block.
This is your empty
Bonus.
block space bonus.
Yeah.
So regardless if there's transactions, you get this. If there's a lot of transactions, you get a lot more money, but that's decided in today's dollars. So it's a much more accurate reflection of what at least some people might say it's worth. So now, so then. Let's go to these charts. That's actually one last thing. If you overpay or underpay, it does not send or speed transactions along the blockchain. One single computer can process every single Ethereum transaction on the blockchain, every single Bitcoin transaction on the blockchain. It only takes one single computer to process the entire blockchain. Everything else beyond that is only there to prevent a 51% attack. So they call this insurance. So in the off chance that someone devotes an equal amount of resources that you are doing to strengthen your product, they devote that to attacking you. That's the only benefit of having more than one computer securing the blockchain. And you could say internet connectivity. Like if you have 10 computers and they, one in China, one in US, it's good.
It's redundancy is the general,
Well, in redundancy, yes.
Yeah,
but it doesn't speed up transactions. It doesn't help the blockchain along. It doesn't do anything other than protect it. That's it.
What if like you've got a really slow internet connection, and then I'm hosting a fast node, and Phil starts hosting a fast node too?
Yeah.
Well, previously it took 2 confirmations, we'll say, for a transaction to go through. So before you started hosting a fast node, it was just me, and then it never went through until your slow node basically pushed the transaction and confirmed it. But now that he's hosting a fast node, more transactions go through faster because we could basically confirm it. We don't necessarily need your slow node to confirm it.
That is like there is some applicability there, but that's internet speed, not computing power.
Oh yeah, because the whole blockchain's massive. Yeah. I see
Yeah,
what you're saying.
well, so internet speed and having
Mhm.
internet connectivity and stuff. I mean, that's important.
Right.
So I don't want to knock internet connectivity, but in terms of block reward or empty space block bonus reward, and this is what most people refer to as the strength of the blockchain. This is what you could think of as hash reward, and then there's another type of reward you could call staked reward, but noding, just providing internet service. But in terms of computing power, there's next to nothing required in terms of computing power. However, they supply a bonus. Bitcoin pays currently $1.6 billion as a bonus for people to vote their computing power to lengthen the blockchain every year. But it does not do anything regarding the processing transactions at all. At all. The internet service does matter, but that's, it's internet service. If you're in China versus somebody in the US, you're talking milliseconds. It's relevant, but it's like it's not really a benefit that most people.
It's not a 4K
worry
movie.
about.
It's just a transaction for the most part. Right?
It's just a transaction, and your
Or
block's
bit of
going to be,
code.
for Bitcoin, it's once every 10 minutes, so milliseconds make very little difference. For Ethereum, your block's every 15 seconds. So again, like a transaction from the US, even if the only person hosting Ethereum was somebody in Taiwan, he'd either get it on this block or the next block, one or the other.
Right.
So just 15 seconds apart, Bitcoin, if you happen to get it within the first, 10 minutes apart at most. But anyways, so this first chart here, we could start talking about this now. I think I've covered the basics there.
Is the first month that tiny sliver?
Yeah, that blue.
That's the oldest one.
Well, that's January 2015,
Okay.
and
those are subsequent months.
They did. They were around about a year before that as well, or 2 years before that, but they just paid even less than anything that's relevant here.
So they went up at an extremely fast rate,
Mm-hmm.
and then it looks like they kind of really stabilized
Mm-hmm.
for about up until about the last month or so, when it kind of looks like it popped about 50%.
Yeah, and that's about right.
Mm-hmm.
So in February 2000, for all of 2016, they paid a total for that year of $106 million for hash power, to purchase hash power and lengthen the blockchain to produce this 51% attack. And it can happen, but it's pretty rare.
The longer, the harder it is.
Yeah, but it's pretty rare. And then in February 2017, they paid $13 million in one single month to purchase hash power. So then the next chart down there, below it, the bar chart.
Let me just ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Those percentages there,
Yeah.
that are with each month, like in October of 16, I believe it says 7.5%.
Yeah, you can ignore that. That's not relevant. Really.
Okay, is that 7.5% of the total pie?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not meaningful.
No, it's not really meaningful. Yeah,
Okay,
that
okay,
percent's
go
not
ahead.
meaningful.
Just want to make sure I'm.
No, you're fine. I mostly just wanted to show the pie graph or whatever.
Right.
And just to get it on audio, do y'all agree that it's like relatively even throughout these months?
Right up until, well, after the first couple of
After
months.
the first couple months, yeah.
It's been relatively even until the last month, when it looks like it popped up about 50%.
You agree, Sean?
Yeah,
Wait.
especially the last 5 months. That's obviously when it extremely
Okay.
increased. Yeah.
Well,
When
but
the-
you're talking about the pie graph. The pie graph.
Oh no, yeah. That's
Do you agree
relatively
with-
even,
yeah,
except
okay.
for the last month. You're right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a fair
Okay.
assessment.
Yeah. So then, if you look at the bar graph there at the bottom, you can see, if you look in really closely, there's a little orange sliver about halfway through the bar graph, right before it starts to jump up big time.
Mm-hmm.
So that orange sliver is $13 million. It's the big orange part in the one above you.
That's the February. Okay, yeah.
So that's February 2017. So February 2017, Ethereum paid $13 million to purchase hash power to prevent the 51% attack, which is more or less in line with what it paid most of the months prior. and then the next month it decided to pay 35 million, and then 55 million, and then in May 2017 it paid 170 million, and then in June 2017 it paid $270 million in one single month, and then July 2017 it's going to pay around 100 million. It might actually be a little bit more. So so if you like just compare these two charts, which one looks more even and steady?
Well,
The
they
top
are.
one, yeah, but it's
We've
cut off
got
in
some apples and
February.
oranges here. This one cuts off in May or
February.
February
Yeah.
of 17. This other one goes in the future months and
Well, into July.
into July, and that's
Yeah.
when it really exploded. And
Yeah.
that to some extent kind of corresponds with the explosion in the price of Ethereum.
Boom. That's what I was about to ask you. So were more tokens given out over this time, or is this
No,
just
no. Well,
so it's
well,
the same amount of
but
tokens,
but
the
that's,
price increases.
Yes. So that's coding. So, but the question for you is, what's your objective in purchasing hash power? What is the objective?
Well, you secure your network because obviously, if you're
the
the
51%
Ethereum
attack,
Foundation,
does
It's
it
insurance.
speed up your does it speed up your blockchain?
No.
Does it provide any long-term benefit once you're done with that month? Like once it's done for the month, like if you purchase a lot in a month before, is it worth a bunch in the months later?
Not other than
No.
reputation or something like that.
Because
No.
actually each month
Yeah.
you're doing every single bit of history again.
Right. Each bit a month you're doing it all again. So
Mhm.
so whatever the lowest you pay at any point in time is the amount that of security you've purchased. Because obviously, if it's based on the price of Ethereum and Ethereum goes to $400 and they escalate their cost from if they escalate their cost 25 times to the amount that they were paying just a couple of months before for security, is that when you attack them, or do you just wait the next month when they're paying one half that amount? Wait till the next month.
If you know that it's going to go down in value.
No.
you'll definitely wait.
You don't even need to know. Do you attack them when they're paying 25 times more than they were the month before, or do you wait? That's a simple question. Do you attack them when they're paying 25 times more for security than they were the month before? Is that the time you do it?
If the price continues to rise, it's going to cost me even more than 25 times more.
It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. If your plan was to attack them, and if you had a system set up, of course you would have done it before if you could have done it.
What if you travel back in time, you're a potential attacker, and you're in March of this year, and you're looking at this graph, and you're saying, well, crap, that just tripled almost from the orange month.
Okay, of course our
Should
attacker...
I wait, or should I attack now? You're going to say, I'm going to wait.
Of
And
course
then
our
boom,
attacker
the next
can
month
travel...
it goes
Of
up.
course our attacker can travel back in time.
Yeah.
But let's be your mythical attacker for a second.
Right.
Okay, your goal is to attack the Ethereum network.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have more than 51% of the money devoted to purchasing hash power than they do. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's just pretend we're in the month of January, and Ethereum is purchasing $10 million of hash power in 1 month of January.
Okay.
So you have to have more than $10 million that you're willing to essentially lose, because when you attack, you don't actually take over the network. All you do is burn money each other, and then the more trusted network continues.
Right.
You both burn money together. So Ethereum is purchasing $10 million of hash power in January. Your desire is to destroy Ethereum. How much money do you have?
11 million.
Okay. So do you attack then?
Well, if I can, yeah.
Okay, sure. But next month they're paying 15 million. Obviously, it's not even on the table. It's not even up for consideration. So if you cannot do it at 11 million, right? Because your statement is your plan is to attack Ethereum and they're paying 11 million. You have 150 million and you're going to wait. No, of course not. If you have 115 million and you need 11 to attack Ethereum, you attack, right?
Right.
Right. You obviously, if you had enough to start with, if you had enough, unless something,
Then you'd go ahead and attack. And take
you
it
would
over.
of course do.
Okay.
You of course do. You don't just sit
If
around.
that's your objective, yeah.
Yes, the
This is
shortest.
like game theory. you're
Mhm.
talking about.
It's
Yeah.
even marginal game theory. But if your goal is to buy something that costs $10 and you have 100,
You buy it.
You buy it. It's not even relatively close to like, you're trying to buy it for 10 and you have 11. It's not even relative.
Yeah.
But anyways, but yeah. So then let's go to the next chart, just the next page.
Okay, so just
So
so
that's this here.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in other words, the amount that was being spent, correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah.
The amount that was being spent to defend
Yes.
Ethereum was jumped from somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 40 million in about March on up to about $270 million in about June. or
Yes,
July.
that's exactly right.
That's yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly
so,
right.
So it was like a quantum leap, going from
A quantum leap.
6x.
Yeah, I mean going from 50 or 40 to 270 in about 4 months.
And actually, I'm going to address that for just a second.
In February, yeah.
So who paid for that? How? So the cost went from 270 million. I mean, went from 35 million to 270 million. Who came up with that $210 million?
All the new investors and people transacting Ethereum.
Not the transactors, all the new investors only. The transactors is totally different. That's transaction fees.
Okay.
Yeah. But so all the new investors paid that's right. All the new investors paid 210 million to pay for this expense in June.
Okay, and when you say new investors, are you talking about the people that took cash out of their pocket and put it on the table to buy Ethereum?
I am. Yeah, so
that's what you're saying.
So you could either say you can think about it two different ways effectively. Either $270 million of new investment money came in, and I just call it the Ethereum Foundation, but you could call it the miners if you wanted to. But $270 million of Ethereum came in, and rather than having it being traded on the market, Ethereum supplied them with this so that this never made it to the market. Or you can think that Ethereum took $270 million of Ethereum and sold it at market in 1 month.
They increase the supply. It'd be like the central bank printing new money and giving it to you, and then you saying, should I hold on to this money or should I go ahead and sell this or buy things with it? And what we were kind of postulating is that the miners 80% of the time are going to sell it. They're not going to sit there and hold on to the tokens a lot of the time.
Yeah, you're right. At least that's my opinion.
I'm with you. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
And I think they do pay attention to the price. If the price is low, then they hold on a bit more, like maybe 30-40%. And then if the price is high, then they probably hold on to none. Or if the price is around market value, they probably don't hold on to any more than they really sort of have to when it's low.
Right.
So when you're on this chart here showing dollars,
Yes.
this is really dollar equivalents to the amount of Ethereum that was paid.
Yes.
Well, Ethereum numbers are always the same, so they're paid a flat amount.
Exactly.
Of Ethereum.
The tokens never changed in this. It's just the value of the tokens that were paid to miners.
The benefit has never changed, and the tokens have never changed.
Right.
But the dollar amount has changed insanely.
So if we
the
wanted to cut
benefit
to the
does not
chase,
change.
like how would you secure it? If you
Well,
wanted to fix it at $10 million a month
no.
US dollars, how would you?
Okay, how would you fix it to dollars?
Yes.
Yes.
How would you possibly pay the miners in dollars?
No, simple. So, first you have to decide an amount of dollars you want to pay.
Okay.
And first you just have to do that. And so let's just talk about that for a second, and then I'll get back to some of these others. But so if there's 1,000 players in the marketplace, and your objective is to prevent people taking over your entire blockchain, if they have more equipment than you in one given month,
right?
99 players pay at most 20 million a month, and then the next biggest player pays 40 million, and this is the most they've ever spent in a single month, how much should you pay? So if everybody else is paying 20 million to protect this thing and it's just not happening, 20 million or significantly less, frankly, and the next biggest pays 40 million, how much do you pay for this insurance to protect against this attack that can, in theory, steal a blockchain?
I'm curious. Yeah, what would you pay? What's your answer?
Everybody else is paying 20 each, or in total?
Yeah, 20 each. 20 each.
At
to
most.
secure their
At
blockchain.
most. Most of them are paying 1, but let's pretend the biggest ones are paying like 20 a month, maybe.
And you've got, and you're talking about insuring against somebody else that has 40 million?
Someone who, the theory is that they have $40 million. The theory is that they can steal all the $20 million blockchains. However, none of the $20 million blockchains are getting stolen currently. So currently we're at a system where no one's actually getting stolen, but they still pay this money anyway.
Okay. How much would you be willing to pay? Something over 40?
Something over 40.
45.
So now you're paying the most in the market.
You got to beat that guy that
It's
robber.
the 40.
Yeah.
With the 40.
With the 40. Okay.
That potential
He's going to be
robber.
number one.
So the idea is, if you have $50 million of assets available to do this in pretend, right? First, you would obviously take all the little ones first, and then you clobber the big guy next once you've taken all the assets from the little ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's a profitable system.
Yeah, you'd start with the smallest first and overtake those.
Yeah,
if
you would just work your way up. You wouldn't be
Yeah.
secretly holding on to this stack of computers and network just to go after the biggest. That, of course, is ridiculous. That's like your goal is to make money robbing homes, and you rob the one with the highest security first versus the ones with the least. So as long as you're above, a substantial amount of other people, then you're good to go. So then in terms...
Yeah, if you've got the capital to rob the most expensive one first, you're right, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You would never rob the most expensive one first. You'd always rob all the cheap ones, and then
Take the low-hanging fruit.
you'd take the low-hanging fruit, obviously, and then use
What
that
if-
money to acquire more equipment to rob the biggest ones. There's no way you would ever just be like, I'm going to sit on all this stuff until I have enough to get the big one, but I don't currently.
Oh, if you don't currently see, I thought you said you had 50.
Well, even if you did currently, but there's some
wouldn't you go for that?
you don't just have like 50 million of computers suddenly.
No, you're right.
You
you're
first
right.
have 10 million, and then you have 20 million, and then you have 30 million, and you don't learn to rob a blockchain. Just you rob everything else first. So anyways.
Okay, sorry.
So in terms of how much do you pay,
Mm-hmm.
you came up with the number of 45 million.
Yeah.
Perhaps, and then how much might you pay?
I'm still gonna go just north of the people that are paying 20.
Like 25 million.
Yeah,
Or something.
20 to 25, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So I will just say, frankly, I agree with you both that 25 to 40 million is good, or 45 million.
Okay.
I think that's more than enough. Just considering the fact that none of the other ones have experienced any significant problems.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Right.
I think that's a pretty fair assessment that it's sufficient. But moving on from that, so then you pick U.S. dollars, and then all you have to do is essentially basic math, and then so if your goal is to pay 45 million a month, or let's just say 500 million or 600 million a year, and Ethereum in particular is a market cap of $20 billion. How do you know what percent 40 million is of 20 billion?
How do you know it's going to stay at 20 million?
No, that's not the question. How do you know what percent 500 million is of 20 billion?
500 million divided by 20 billion.
Yeah, it's called just simple math.
Simple math, yeah.
Yeah, it's simple math. So and what does that come out to? Do you know?
500 million. You said
1/40
500 million divided by
2.5%. 500 million divided by 20 billion.
So 2.5%.
2.5%.
Okay, so 2.5%. So, so the question is, your other question was, how do you know it's going to stay at the value of 20 billion which is a dollar amount of $300 roughly, or $200 or something like that,
Right.
$250. How do you know it's going to be at a dollar value of 200, 250, or 300? Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But
And I think that's the original reason they're paying
well,
the
well,
tokens.
well.
Because they don't know.
No.
It's a lot easier to say, like, invest in this now. These could be worth a lot one day. We're going to pay you in tokens, than it is to say, no matter what, you're getting this amount of money. Because they're more like
easier
stakeholders.
to say, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, you're incentivizing
It
them to
doesn't
kind of
make
be like a
any sense.
stakeholder in an equity.
Wait, all right.
If you
go back.
secure
No, go back.
in
Go
the
back.
beginning-
Go back. No, you're really
Okay.
jumping all over the place. You
Okay.
really are. So, so you just said
Mm-hmm.
500 million is the amount that you would pay, and then we did the math, which comes out to what? 2.5%, right? Okay.
Right. Okay.
Now, justifying why what they did 3 years ago or 4 years ago, which is what you're doing, is totally fine. It's totally fine to say Bitcoin had no clue what the Bitcoin price would be in 2009 as he did 2017, and therefore he made 4%. It's fair to say
Yeah.
the Bitcoin creator had no clue what the price would be 9 years in the future in the first of its kind cryptocurrency, and therefore he picked 4%. That's totally legit. But do you know what the price of Ethereum is today?
Today I do.
Yes.
Today you do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you, just for talking purposes, what will it be in 2025?
No clue. I don't even know. It's going to be 48 hours from
You
now.
have to decide today what it will be in 2025. You're the Bitcoin creator. You have to decide today what it will be in 2025. What is it going to be?
It sounds like he was going to go with 4% inflation every year.
No, well, okay, you just copied him. But ignoring all that is he just picked a freaking number.
Yeah.
And the idea of predicting what Ethereum is, which, I mean, both of you treat as an outlandish question, the idea of predicting the value of Ethereum in 8 years from now, there was nothing to even compare to Bitcoin, and he tried to predict 8 years in the future. So, but you know,
He got lucky.
but you know, and no, he didn't. But you know, and I know what the value of Ethereum is today, and we are deciding today. So we know what the value of Ethereum is today. We are deciding today what it should be. We calculated it to come to 2.5%, which is a reduction compared to what we were paying before of 80%, an 80% reduction in expense cost.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
It's definitely-
it's not, yeah.
It's definitely yes. It's
If
definitely yes.
if you have an 80% reduction in expense cost, that's absurd.
But I'm
That's
saying you could
absurd.
You might be able to improve it further, is what I'm getting at, yeah.
Yeah, you can, but an 80% reduction of expense cost only to put your assets in line with the most expensive of anyone who made a decision in 2017. The only person who's paying more than you made a decision in 2009 with a wild guess at what a first of its kind cryptocurrency would be worth 8 years future. So no one else has experienced a problem. You said it should be around 500 mil. I agree with about 500 mil. And this comes out to 2.5%. And this equates to an 80% cost reduction in what the currency is burning every single month. For example, is 250 million when it's at $400. They burn 250 million whenever it goes to $400 in order to keep the price down effectively. But if they decide to burn only $80 million when it goes to $400, is it more likely to stabilize at 400, or is it more likely to stabilize when they're burning, 150 million more?
There's going to be a lot less selling pressure at that $400 price range.
Exactly.
There's going to be a lot less selling pressure at whatever price range.
At whatever pressure.
Because there's not going to be
80% less selling pressure.
Yeah, there's going to be, right. All that.
Yes.
I don't know if there's 80% less selling pressure.
Or, well, sure, but I feel
it's
you.
however much that fixed amount is per month.
Well, that's
80% of
no,
the mining.
that's the weird thing, because it is variable to price. So now let's talk about miners for a second in terms of how much miners get paid. So they get paid as a percent of market cap. So if you earn 11%, and this is what 5 ETH comes out to, just for talking purposes, so 5 times. But if you earn 11% at a $200 product, or you earn 2%, which is 1 ETH, 1 ETH at a $1,000 product,
Wait, it's
what's the difference in your
Repeat
total
that,
pay? Yeah,
please.
right.
Go ahead.
So you earn, and I'll just use times, but you earn 5 times the amount of a $200 product as you do with a $1,000 product. Which one pays more? And they pay you in product, but one pays you 5 $200 products, and one of them pays you one $1,000 product.
I'd
I
rather
don't care.
I'd rather the
You-
5 smaller ones.
Well, yeah, you don't. It's equivalently equal.
They're equivalently equal, but yeah, the
Yes.
more control, more flexibility, the better. But
Yeah. So right, that's fair enough. Like the smaller ones can be good, but equivalently equal in terms of raw dollar figures.
Yeah, it's the same amount of money, right?
Yes. So earning 5 of the $200 thing and
You
one.
got me on my game theory toes now.
Yeah. And one on a $1,000 thing is equivalent to the same amount of money. So, if you take ETH and you reduce the expenses 80%, you reduce the amount of ETH burned when it goes to $400. You reduce it by about 150 million, and when it goes to $1,000, you reduce it by roughly 400 million every month. I don't know the exact number right now. It's probably a lot more than that. Actually, if ETH was to go to $1,000, paying 5 ETH a block, which it is now, then ETH would be required to burn $600 million in a single month. Do you think that's a good expenditure of investor money?
I don't like it.
No, obviously not.
No one would like it.
No,
This
it's
is
wasteful,
ridiculous.
Yeah, if you're an
So-
investor, yeah.
So just if you're an investor.
Not if you're a miner. If you're a miner, obviously you're gonna.
Yeah,
be,
it's obviously crazy if you're a
Yeah.
miner. But yeah,
But on the other hand, if my ETH is gone
to
from-
1,000.
to 1,000, I'm real happy about that.
Well,
but
but
as a new investor, it sucks big time.
You're actually not going to be happy
Tell me more.
because they're literally attacking your investors. So when they burn $500 million, what are they saying to you? They're saying in order to stabilize at a $1,000 price, you have to find $500 million for us to burn every single month. Otherwise, the price will go down.
I
So-
don't like that.
Because it's still 2.5%. You're saying? Or?
If it's 11%.
Oh. Okay.
To stabilize, if you're paying 5 ETH, which is what they had at the start, and if you had even the dream of ETH going to $1,000, then they're going to have to burn 600 mil, 500 million a month in order for it to stabilize at $1,000, and you got to find another 500 mil US dollars or whatever the case may be to burn every single month. Otherwise, the price will go down. How do you feel about your ETH? How do you feel? You got $1,000 ETH. You need to either contribute another 500 million for them to burn, or the price goes down. How do you feel about it?
I'm bailing.
You're bailing.
Yeah.
You're bailing like crazy. So what this effectively does is it sets a ceiling for the price. So if you have a fixed amount of ETH or whatever, a fixed amount of Bitcoin, as it were, and there was no equation to lower it, then it sets a ceiling for the price. So, and the reason that we came to the conclusion that 500 million, burning 500 million ETH in a single month is not a good idea is because the most anybody else burns is 20 million. The most anyone burns is 20 million. The most ETH burned for all of 2016 with all months combined was 100 million. And based on that information, we've come to the conclusion that 500 million in 1 month, not a good plan.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
is
a safe
that fair?
assumption.
That's a safe assumption.
Yeah.
So, but now, if you reduce the expense by 80%,
Mm-hmm.
So now at a price of $1,000, you're spending roughly $100,000 ETH a month. You're burning, 100 million. You're burning 100 million ETH to protect an Ethereum worth $1,000. Do you feel good about that? I still don't feel good about that. And that is an 80% reduction on what it is currently. So when you think about an escalating price of a currency, if you treat it as such, when you think about an escalating price in a currency, there is no ability for the price or the spot price, there's no ability for the spot price to rise if you are going to burn money at an escalating pace based on how much it is. So therefore, if you want to have the assumption that what you're holding on to should be worth more in the future, then you have to reduce the amount of money you're burning periodically. Right?
Right.
You can't. The goal for security is 500 million a year, which is roughly 50 million a month. It provides no security to burn 250 million and then 100 and then 300 and then 10, jumping all up and down. You want to have it as flat line as possible.
Why? The flat line's predictable, though.
You want to have it flatlined. He's going to wait till you're vulnerable. He's not. If the attacker, the fictional attacker, right? And you got to imagine a single person, because there's money values that you're talking about here.
Right.
So at 100 billion, right, which is at $1,000 ETH with 1 ETH, so the same payout that ETH will pay at 5 ETH at $200. But when you talk about 100 million, $1 billion, the only person who can attack ETH is someone who has $1 billion.
Right.
Right? So they also have to have $1 billion of blockchain mining equipment, along with the security tech and along with the people to do it. So if you have 300 million and your only goal is to kill ETH and they have 20 million, do you do it?
Yeah. I mean, if that's your only goal, certainly.
Sure. Do you do it when they are spending 500 million and you have 300 million? No. Your amount of money is fixed. You're an attacker. And likewise, you can't be idly sitting on computers. They have to be put to use.
But
so you're not in this fictional sphere where you suddenly came with more. You just appear with more computers than exist in the world, along with all the warehouse and personnel to do it.
No. I'm saying, like, I'm a real person. I don't really have
how much
25
money
million.
How much money do you got?
I've got $25 million, and I really want to crash ETH. And so now that it's 270 million, I can't do a thing about it. But now that you're wanting to reduce the amount of money spent on securing the network to 20 million.
I did not say that.
Well, not you. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. But
you are. But no. I know you're not trying to. Sorry. Go ahead.
My bad. But yeah. So basically, anybody that has if you drop the cost to 20 million, anybody that has more than that 20 million can then attack it, right?
Wait a second.
If you know that it's only 20 million.
You put it in a totally sphere again. So how much money do you have first? Just answer that question first.
Nowhere near money, yeah.
No, just pick an amount of money. I mean,
25 million.
Yeah, there you
25
go,
million. Okay. I'm spending 8 million. Do you attack me?
Yes. I whoop your ass.
I'm spending 13. Do you do it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm spending 35. Do you do it?
No.
No, I can't afford it.
I spend 170. Do you do it?
No.
I spend 270.
How do you know how much
No,
money?
I'm asking you. Do you attack me when you got 25 million when I spend 270?
No, of course not.
When I spend 100, do you?
No, I don't do it unless you have 25 or less. So.
Well, and when did I have 25 or less? Throughout my entire history. So other than 3 months ago or 4 months ago, I spent 25 million or less throughout my entire history up to 4 months ago. So that's the point is.
But your market cap wasn't attractive 4 months ago.
It doesn't even matter.
By 51%, the tax not going to net me the same proceeds.
It doesn't even matter.
Well, that does.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
How not? How does it not? I'm sorry.
No, you're being in a fictional world. So you have to pretend you're a real person.
Okay.
You have $20 million which you use to attack blockchains with, correct?
Okay.
Right? Are there any that you've ever attacked previously?
No, apparently not.
Apparently not. Yeah. Apparently you've never done this ever, right?
Yeah, I mean, at least you didn't hear about it if it did.
Yeah, okay. So you've never ever done this.
Right.
But you have $25 million of what? Is this computers?
Yeah, it would be computers.
Okay,
it would be a botnet of some sort, yeah.
So you have $25 million worth of computers.
Right.
That are built to optimization for blockchain cracking, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing with them?
I'm mining right now.
Well, in real world, you're mining. But in fiction land, you're just letting them rot to dust, right? In fiction land.
Why can't I be mining with them and then...
Okay, sure, you're mining with them. Okay, you're mining with them.
And then...
You're fine. It's fine to say you're mining with them.
Okay. I'm mining with them and then...
Yeah, so your goal is to take over blockchains. You have $25 million of mining equipment.
Right.
and you're currently mining blockchains.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what do you do when you devote? So what do you do when you devote your 25 million to securing blockchains? You strengthen blockchains, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So while you're not attacking, you're strengthening everybody's blockchain by
You're almost fighting yourself.
your assets while your
I'm giving them
assets sit idle.
false sense of security
well,
until I pull the.
Until you pull it out for under them.
Until you
start
become a
attacking
traitor.
them.
So-
A traitor.
Exactly.
So you can see the problem here is you. So the whole time, since it's computing equipment and computing gets it deteriorates with age, and since mining is a slow build-up process,
Mm-hmm.
you're constantly strengthening blockchains while you're not attacking them.
Right.
And then the theory that you can attack means that you have to possess more than 51% essentially of all blockchain technology, which at this point no one's close.
What if I'm a hacker and I got this virus or this Trojan?
Then it doesn't matter how much we spend on the hash. The hash only protects from one type of threat, and that is hash threat. Hash only protects from one type of threat, and that is if one single person possesses more than $1 billion of blockchain technology and has them available to lose and burn and destroy over the course of some period of time in order to destroy a roughly equal amount of Ethereum blockchain dollars. So, and then likewise, you got to think about, you have $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Why is your goal to destroy Ethereum? Is it not to have more money?
Right. It would be to maximize your.
It's to make money and do other things with your life.
Yeah.
$1 billion is not $1 billion is not Play-Doh. You don't have $1 billion for long if your goal is to destroy blockchain.
But I could easily see some like consortium of banks putting together $1 billion to destroy.
And so you can imagine this, but walk it from step to step.
I'm thinking a state player.
A state player always
China,
can.
who
Yeah, China always can. How much you pay to secure blockchain? If China and the U.S. and Europe, if they gather together to secure blockchain, they can. Now I'll tell you another funny one. This is another thing that, like, in terms of what I'll call foolish people, they don't really think about because they don't really appreciate the large dollar figures you're talking about.
Yeah.
So nobody else pays more than $500 million, right? To secure their blockchain. This is Litecoin. Everybody else pays less than $250,000 for an entire year.
Right.
Bitcoin pays 1%. That was a wild guess based in 2009, and it's 1.6 billion. But so if your goal was to destroy Bitcoin, and you had to compete with hash power, and you had to lose $1.6 billion, and your goal is essentially to terrorize society and destroy a cryptocurrency for all the people who use it, is purchasing computers the cheapest way to destroy Bitcoin if the amount of money you're talking about is $1.6 billion?
No.
If you have access to 51% of the world's computers, if you're allowed to terrorize people with impunity, which is, let's just say a government in pretend, but if you have more than 51% of the world's computers, if you're allowed to terrorize people with impunity, and your objective is to destroy blockchain technology, is the cheapest way to use the computers, or is it, I will just say ban on blockchain, just say no one trading blockchain, or kill a few people in the blockchain community, frankly, is way cheaper than spending $1.6 billion. You can spend marketing campaigns. There's so many other ways to destroy blockchain technology. You can buy mining factories. You can buy the equipment manufacturing factories. And you can buy all of the computer, manufacturing factories in the world or whatever, or try to secure them or whatever. This would be probably a more effective long-term route rather than like trying to do this wild, you just are destroying money with the wild hope that you can take over the Bitcoin one day eventually. And until then, you just strengthen it with your wasted computing power.
The goal, to me,
Yeah.
a goal of destroying, which is the term you're using, of destroying Bitcoin or any other, I'll say really almost anything, is I don't think that's a realistic
Right.
goal.
It should be profitable.
That's right. I'm not.
It has to be profitable, and there's no profit in it.
Nobody in their right mind has a goal that is simply destruction.
No, they don't.
I want your car. I don't want to just destroy your car.
Yeah.
That doesn't do a damn thing for me. But no,
Right.
but
No,
no.
I'll throw this out to you too. So I have $1.5 billion, and let's just pretend, and I'm attacking Bitcoin, and it has a value of $40 billion, right? Or $40 billion worth of money has gone into this. Do you think the people who put $40 billion will not temporarily, because this is all they have to do, temporarily match my 1.5 billion to try to prevent me, or do you think they'll just accept the loss of their 40 billion?
Say that once again. Go through
Right. So people have devoted 40 billion to this asset, and then I devote 1.5 billion to try to break it. Do you think the people who devoted 40 billion will not temporarily put more in to stop me?
Yes.
Of course. Obviously. This is again.
Will they have time though?
Yeah, no, it just resets. It's hard
Okay.
forks. Now, there's a little different situation if someone perpetually and forever has more computers for you. But that's a different situation.
Yeah.
You got to worry about a world in which one person singly controls 51% of all world's computers forever, and they use these computers to terrorize people. This is a wild world.
That's a very
That's
dystopian
scary.
world.
Yeah. Now, one single day, 1
Scary
hour, doing an attack on, like, let's just say Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
If you to attack Ethereum or Bitcoin in one single day, if you somehow had like the ability to reroute all your computers to attack them, I mean, it only cost even when they pay an insane amount, it only cost $6 million if you could reroute all computers instantly to do it. But all Ethereum does is wait another second, start over, go again. Hard fork. It's called hard forking. Because what you have to do is you have to both attack, to profit from it, you have to both attack them and tell everyone you are the real one, everybody else is fake.
But then what if they start listening to you and pick
No,
you up?
No, that's different. It's called hard forking.
Yeah.
Hard fork. No. Well, hard forking, you just fork. So that they have to constantly attack you, because you can always just press reset. But they have to attack you and say that you are the real one and they are the fake. So, yes, people can start listening to them. You hard fork, do a new one.
Oh, just like the DAO, basically, you unroll it, is what you're saying?
No, you don't unroll it. That's slightly different, but it's effectively the same.
If I do a 51% attack that's successful, and I hard fork, and the majority of people that own Ethereum start listening to me, my new blockchain,
No.
how are they?
Okay, first, you do a 51% attack.
Okay.
Then it becomes aware that you're doing a 51% attack. Right?
So they can see in the process that it.
Yes. Yeah, they totally can.
Okay.
So you do a 51% attack, everyone becomes aware it's a 51% attack. The people who eventually essentially manage Ethereum and the other blockchains, they roll back from the time where you started the attack, they fork to the new one, and then you have to attack again, and then we fork to the new one, and then you have to attack again, and then eventually you run out of money because you're wasting money each day and hour you do
Each time
this.
they just fork and roll it back.
They
you
just
lose your resources.
Yeah, and Ethereum does too. So you both waste money, but in terms of how much money should you spend to not face the potential of wasting money, most people agree with 20 million. Ethereum got up to 270 million.
Yeah.
But the maximum you could have wasted is 20 million, even if you had to like reset it a few times. Now there's inconvenience and stuff like this, which becomes an issue.
And I want to say Satoshi, like I remember reading a while back that like he originally designed it so the incentive was always if you had this massive amount of computing power, you would earn more money if you basically benefited the blockchain than if you tried to destroy it. Is that not true?
Well, that's just all Satoshi did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though that's granted hopeful, but all he did was make a wild guess of computing power compared to market cap. And since Satoshi, and since he was like the first blockchain that ever started, he really never knew what the market cap for Bitcoin was going to become, of course. Mm-hmm. And for those who don't know, when he was doing Bitcoins, the price was for 1 penny, you could get like 10,000 Bitcoins. and now it's $2,000
good
for
old
a single
days.
Bitcoin. So based on that information, he just made up a number of 4%.
Yeah.
He just took a wild guess. I mean, it's 09, it's 17. You can't make any prediction other than like just, this is how much the total computer market is at this point in time. You could say that your goal is to purchase. This is another question.
Mm-hmm.
So, like we mentioned before, while you're not attacking on the network, you're powering the blockchain, right?
Yeah, you can use it. Right. The
You
incentive
are.
is to
You
do
have
that.
to.
Yeah.
You have to. So while you're not attacking the networks, you're powering the blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
So what if the total money spent on blockchain technology for all blockchains combined is 500 million a month or whatever? Let's just pretend.
Okay.
It's 500 million a month for all blockchains combined.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And you want to prevent a 51% attack. What's the most you should possibly spend?
500 million, right?
Well, that would be 100%, but your goal is to prevent a 51% attack.
Oh, well then, yeah.
So
Obviously.
260 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so 260 million. So like,
51%.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you get like 51% of all
That's close
blockchain
enough.
money, of all of them,
Mm-hmm.
then you're surely secure. In the month of June, Ethereum purchased 65% of all blockchain computing power in the world.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Would you say
Right,
that's
yeah,
more than?
it's-
Yeah, so it's
They
more
spend
than
way
50.
too much. Yeah.
Clearly. So this.
There's no disputing that.
Well, a lot of people say, well, it was coded. Satoshi took a guess in 09 what the price of blockchain would be in 2017. Everyone else in 2017 has decided on 20 million to 40 million, and they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Ethereum is deciding in 2017 how much to spend, and they're kind of debating on if it should be 270 or 20 or 40. I mean, clearly it should be in line with everybody else who's making a decision in 2017, and not the one person who took a wild guess in 09.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Can I throw just a,
Yeah, sure.
just a,
Mhm.
this is a little off maybe,
Yeah,
but
no, you're fine.
but most of the talk that we've had so far has, I think, been around rational thinking.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering here.
Yes.
A rational thinker would not attack until they had enough.
Right.
Yes.
But I'm thinking of terrorism,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
basically. Where we have we've had a world now for
Yeah.
at least the last 25 years or so, where we've had terrorists attack of all over the world of one kind or another.
Man, I gotta get a number. You want one? Mike?
Where
Yeah, sure.
where really it's almost like the goal seems almost to be simply destruction.
Hey, can I get you some water or anything?
No, I brought coffee
Okay,
this
yeah.
time. But it seems like we have been living in a world where there has been a good bit of rather irrational, where there doesn't seem to be any real profit motive, if you will, where
Yeah.
it's just, the motive is, I'm just gonna.
If I can't have it, neither can you.
That's right, and really terrible acts.
Yeah.
And of course, and I think what we've been talking about are acts committed by essentially rational thinkers.
Yeah.
Well, you always have to have a story. So anytime you create like a fictionalized attack, the person came from somewhere to get to where they are. They then have the motive to do the act, and then they go on and go somewhere else. So the reason that I was discussing how much money do you have in terms of attacking a blockchain, well, everyone agreed that if you have more money than necessary to do it, and your goal is to do it, then you do it. If you do not have enough money to do it, then you don't do it. Right? I mean, that's simple enough.
Or maybe what I do is if I'm just interested, if my goal is to be a disruptor, a
Yes.
destroyer,
Yeah.
then then, and I've got, in that little example we were talking about, and I've got 25 million.
Yes.
Or 25 million, and it's gonna take 50 million or to do the attack.
Mhm.
Okay, but maybe what I do then is, I blow off attacking Ethereum, and I look for one of these small.
Yeah, of
smaller,
course you would.
You know,
Right.
you know,
That's a very logical thing.
You know, because I can be, you know, I'm just, I can't defend anything long term.
It's hard to.
But I could sure be a disruptor and a terrorist.
And just to be clear, Ethereum has been attacked before, and other chains have been attacked. But the amount that Ethereum was spending when it was attacked was less than about 10 million a year, and so the other chains were too. So no chain that I know of has been attacked that spent more than 12 million over the course of an entire year, or about $1 million a month. But chains have been attacked before.
Well, you got a whole bunch right now. At least the number I saw recently was that we've got somewhere on the order of about 1,000 different
So you got
cryptocurrency.
So you got 1,000 options right now, and none are being attacked. And I'll just say shortly, the reason that they're being attacked, which goes back to the first point that I made before, is there's no reason to. You don't make money.
What's the incentive? Yeah,
there is no incentive.
People respond to incentives in society. I agree with
yeah,
that.
so there's virtually no incentive other than to disrupt it. So in terms of you're a single individual, there's nothing to gain from it at all, unless you can take over the entire organization and then pretend you are the real organization and the real people are fake. So like in Vitalik's case, if I was to do a 51% attack on Ethereum, and I had someone who looked like Vitalik, and I could kill him, put this other guy on camera, people believe he's Vitalik, and he's the real Ethereum, and I can literally take it over, then I have a lot of incentive to do it. But unless I can go to all those steps, then I have no financial incentive, no profit incentive. The only other incentive I can have is to destroy all of society. So if your goal is to destroy all of society and you have billions of dollars to spend, is attacking blockchain via the legal method the way you would do it? No. I mean, if you're trying to destroy society and you have billions of dollars and you're not really concerned about laws, of course you're not going to just spend your money destroying blockchain. I mean, that's stupid. It's completely stupid. Huh?
You would try to buy nukes from Kim Jong or somebody.
Yeah, so you just kill random people, whatever the case. You do bombs. These things are cheap, and they cause just as much, or if not more, disruption than like attacking blockchain. And then the other thing with blockchain is they just do a reset, or they just the next one. Like if you destroy Ethereum, there's Dash, there's Bitcoin.
That's
if you
what
destroy Bitcoin, there's Dash. I mean, there's a million more.
Maybe like in 2010 or 11, if you'd have hit Bitcoin and taken it over with a 51% attack, you would have caused enough detriment that people would have said, you know what, this crypto thing is not going to work out. It's just not safe.
Yeah.
But now if you had attacked one, they would just be like, okay, I'll copy and paste the code. We'll just start a Bitcoin too, basically. The banks spent billions of dollars to overtake this. We know the technology at this point.
All right, so I'm going to show you guys a few little charts here, and this is super important. So now I'm on to this part in the presentation for anybody following along. Moving on to the chats. The graphs. Is it with the small wording at the top?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let me show you this. Okay, so this is super cool. You're going to learn a lot of information here.
Sweet.
Okay, so I'll ignore the words there, but I'll read them in a second. But in July 1st, 2017, with 5 ETH per block at $200 spot price, Ethereum must spend $2 billion a year to protect its blockchain, or about 160 million a month, to protect a $200 price.
All right.
So long as the price is $200, it must spend about 160 million a month or so.
And that's based again on the $200 price and
the 11.6% payment of market cap. So they pay 11.6% of market cap, no matter what the market cap.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
And so then the graph next to it I just kind of showed is if the miners hold some. So now one thing I want to point out here, if you go to about the 10th number down on the first column, you see a number that's 34,560 or 414,720.
Monthly and annual.
Yeah. So Ethereum must have 414,000 people purchased $5,000 worth of Ethereum, which they then burn in order to protect the blockchain each year to maintain a price at $200. If less than 414,000 people agree to burn their $5,000 each year, then the price must go down.
So there's selling pressure on the other side. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yes, yeah, because the selling pressure on the other side. So then, for the proposal that I kind of prompted Vitalik with, and the rest of the Ethereum Foundation, I just prompted them that they should consider reducing this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then he actually agreed with it, and he's thinking about it anyway, just to be clear. But I was just sort of like prodding him just a touch. But he was already thinking about it, just to be clear.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Vlad talks about this a lot. So anyways, so he's going to take it down, hopefully, August 1st, to 3 blocks. Okay, so then for this $200 price, the same exact price, Ethereum will go from acquiring 414,000 new people each year to 174,000 people. And instead of burning $2 billion, it'll burn $1.2 billion. And granted, that still feels like a lot of money, but let's just call it the maximum price that I would like Ethereum to do. That's my personal opinion. That's the max that it should do.
And okay, and you say that this is what Vitalik is currently thinking about or proposing himself?
Yeah, this is his proposal himself.
Okay.
And I'll be frank, it's based on some discussions I had with him.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, just to let y'all know. But and then now I put it in blue, so you can't really see it, unfortunately.
How could you?
No, but so to the left you see 11.3%
Yep.
inflation.
Yep.
His proposal will take it down to 6.6,
Okay.
and then my proposal will take it down to 2.2. So the reason I want to mention that is when you talk about recruiting, and I'll just refer to it as recruiting. At 11% inflation, recruiting 414,000 people, that means 1 in every 9, if Ethereum is spread out, 1 in every 9 Ethereum holders must recruit 1 new person every single year to fix the price. If you're burning 11%, 8 people purchase Ethereum, you burn 1 of them, and that's how much Ethereum you have, and you need to do this every single year, right? So 1 in 9, you must recruit 1 in 9 Ethereum holders must recruit 1 new person each year. In Vitalik's proposal, he'll take it down to 6.6%. That means 1 in 15 Ethereum holders need to recruit 1 new investor of $5,000 of Ethereum every year in order to pay for the mining equipment. So then in my proposal, when I take it down to 2.2%, you only need to recruit 1 in 45 people need to recruit a new Ethereum holder every year in order to sustain the cost of mining equipment. So the point I'm making there is for the same benefit, you can take the rate of inflation, which is the social pressure to bring in more money. You can take it down from what it is currently, which is 1 in 9. Vitalik's going to take it down to 1 in 15. I suggest taking it to 1 in 45. And this will create the same benefit, but it will significantly reduce the social pressure. Do you believe over the course of 45 years as an investor of Ethereum, do you believe over the course of 45 years you will recruit 1 more person to purchase $5,000 of Ethereum?
I sure hope so.
Do you believe over the course of 45 years that you'll recruit 1 new person?
I can force it.
Yeah, it's quite easy.
It's quite easy.
But now, to put a slightly different, over 45 years, will you recruit $50,000? Will you recruit 50,000 over? I mean, maybe you will.
I hope so.
But that's a lot different question than cutting that amount by 5 or whatever. So, anyways,
right.
So when you reduce inflation, you reduce the social pressure on the network. And then the other thing, when you reduce inflation, the inflation of Ethereum is 11%, putting that social pressure on the network. The inflation of Bitcoin is 4%. Vitalik's proposal will take it down to 6. Mine will take it down to 2. So the difference between 6, 4, and 2 is Bitcoin will continue to have less social pressure to recruit new investors than Ethereum will to stabilize the price. When you take it, if you take Ethereum, or when you take Ethereum down from 11 to 2, no cryptocurrency on the market will have anything close to this low amount of social pressure to recruit new investors to maintain a stable price point. Ethereum will have Bitcoin is 1 in 25 people. Ethereum will be 1 in 45 people. You need to recruit one new investor in order to stabilize price point.
You're assuming that the others stay the same and don't modify their.
Well, that's the thing. So this is a percent of market cap. So you're going to take it down. So Ethereum paid. So just to go what the other coins pay, Bitcoin took a wild guess. All the other coins pay 10%, but their market caps are less than $1 billion. So their net amount is 100 million or less for pretty much all of them. Ethereum has a market cap of 20 billion currently. So if it wanted to pay $100 million rather than 10%, it can pay 1%. You follow? So that effectively takes the inflation down from 10% to 1%.
Because of where Ethereum is on the life cycle of it as a coin.
Like 7 months ago, this is not a discussion.
Yeah.
7 months ago, it needs to pay 10%.
Right. I'm with you. 100%. Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, but now that it's doubled, yeah. So you see, in terms of cost, it takes it down from at the $200 value of Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
Under the previous model, you'd have to still burn 2.2 billion. Under Vitalik's proposal, you'll have to burn 1.2 billion, which is the most I think it ever should be. So therefore, it prevents the price from rising above $200. But then with my proposal, you'll burn 400 million, or about $40 million, 35 million at the $200 price. So instead of burning 2 billion, you'll go down to burning, or in a single month, instead of burning about 150 million, you'll burn 35 million.
And that's holding the price at $200?
And that's holding the price at $200. Now here's the tricky thing, which I think we can sort of agree with here. And likewise, I want to mention this yellow number, 50,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the yellow number there.
The 4976. Yeah.
Yeah. So to hold the price at $200, the way Ethereum is currently, you have to recruit 400,000 people every year to hold the $200 price. Under my suggestion, you have to recruit 50,000 people every year. Now, Ethereum is currently recruiting 400,000 people on an annual basis.
Okay.
So, if you're recruiting 400,000 and you are currently destroying all their money, but now instead you put 350 million of that back into the marketplace and you say, no, you have to buy 350 million on the open market.
The price is going to go up.
The price would go up.
There's a lot more demand for Ethereum.
$350 million in this case on a very frequent basis. So an insane amount of demand.
And again, it's also because you're removing that sell order that the miners kind of almost inevitably place too.
Well, you said 80%. That's fair enough to say 80% if you want to.
Yeah.
So if you say 80% of mining costs are sell at market, which they are, at least 80%, frankly. But it's essentially like 20% of hobbyists sell at market, 100% of industrialists sell at market.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some mining pools that automatically convert whatever you're mining back to Bitcoin. Don't even give you a choice.
This is what a lot of them do.
Yeah.
So now here's the kicker here. So now if the price goes from $200, we speculate it'll go up. I totally agree as well.
Right.
And what I think you'll find to be the stabilizing factor is the new recruitment of Ethereum users. So if you stabilize the new recruitment of Ethereum purchasers of 200,000, then the price will naturally climb to $1,200 in roughly just 3 months, in my opinion. And then you can cut the expenses in half again and still come out to 1.2 billion, or about 100 million. So the same as Vitalik's proposal now. So Vitalik's proposal now, if you triple the price of Ethereum, it comes out to the same gross pay to miners. The same pay to miners if the price triples, because you reduce the inflation by so much, then the miners end up getting the same amount of payment. So this creates price stabilization points. At 5 ETH per block, ETH stabilizes around a value of 120 bucks. At 3 ETH per block, ETH stabilizes around a value of $200 or so. At 1 ETH per block, ETH stabilizes around a value of 600 bucks or more.
Yeah.
So what you have to do though is you have to constantly cut how much you're paying for this fixed asset expense in order to maintain something of a flat line. And as you cut the expense, the amount of new recruitment required to pay for the expense goes down, which means the price goes up, which means the amount that they get paid goes up, and then you cut the expense again. So you try to stabilize the expense, which once you create a stable expense, which is, let's just pretend it's 1.2 billion is the optimal expense for this. If you split that between 10 people, then they're paying 10% of it, thus you have to do a lot of recruiting. If you split it, or 9 people, if you split it between 45 people, then the cost per person goes down. The recruitment level goes down. If you split it between 180 people, then the recruitment goes down. Only every other ETH holder needs to convince one new person to buy Ethereum in their lifetime. If it's 1 in 80 people. Effectively, once it's down to 1 in 80 people, birth and GDP naturally supply ETH with new amounts of ETH in order to supply inflation. But still, you're burning a fixed amount of money. So as the price goes up, you have to constantly reduce it. And likewise, the price cannot go above a certain amount. Like with 3 blocks, the price of ETH effectively cannot go significantly higher than $200. Otherwise, you're just burning more than anybody else in the history of blockchain. You're easily going to be burning more than Bitcoin if the price goes to 300. So you have to constantly reduce this what people refer to as block reward, but block rewards includes both transaction fees and empty block space bonuses. This is empty block space bonuses. Block rewards are going to be the same. You're not going to reduce transaction fees, rather. So you're not reducing all of block reward. You're only reducing the thing that was put into place when the blocks were supposedly empty.
Question.
Yeah.
Does it matter if it's, we're using proof of stake or proof of work?
Well, so everyone's proof of work, people will use proof of stake. So the issue will become, and I'll just talk about hash and stake mining just briefly.
Yeah.
But there's no such thing as mechanical proof of stake. Everybody's mechanically proof of work. But what you can do is say, in order to mine, you must invest 50,000 bucks. And also, in order to mine, rather than paying you based on whoever discovers to do block, I can pay people randomly. So extending or strengthening the chain doesn't really help anything in terms of functionality.
Yeah.
All it does is protect against this mythical 51% attack. So if you say that if you made the statement that you have to invest $10,000 to do this and your payout will not be based on hash, it's just going to be randomly assigned, then you get no financial incentive to try to overpower the chain. Of course you could, and destroy your $10,000 in the process, because you had to invest in order to do so. So this is what a lot of people, and they call this proof of stake, because it effectively means you have to have 10,000 bucks in order to mine the coin. and it's very effective. Ant shares Neos does this. So when I talk about this 5 block, this 3 block, and the 1 block, a lot of chains have 0 blocks, so they have no inflation.
Right.
But the difference between them is that as a percentage, their market cap might only be 500 million, and therefore if you want to pay 100 million, it's still 20% regardless of how you split up the cost. But as a percentage, Ethereum is absolutely gargantuan comparatively, and therefore you can have the highest cost while also having the lowest percentage at the same time. It's a very unique position that if Ethereum seizes the opportunity to reduce their inflation rate below that of the US dollar, to reduce the inflation rate below 1%, to reduce the inflation rate less than half of Bitcoin, then I think Ethereum, or whoever does this first effectively, who is the largest coin, they will start growing an attackable advantage in the market cap.
I'm gonna have to leave in about a half an hour.
Yeah.
So, we've gone about an hour and a half, so
I know it's gonna.
I don't wanna,
you're
push you,
good.
but.
Yeah, let's move on. No, that's a good point. But one thing I want to point out here is if you see this little new user recruitment where it goes from 49 to 414, 49 in the like 81 and then 414 in the orange.
Yep.
So in order to stabilize at a price of 200, 1200, 2400, and then to stabilize at a price of $4,000, all Ethereum has to recruit is 414,000 people on an annual basis to stabilize at a price of $4,000.
Which is what it's at right now.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
To stabilize at a price of 200.
Yeah, to stabilize at a price of 200 and to stabilize at a price of 4,000 cost the same amount of money under the previous plan and my new plan. So you can see the problem here. And likewise, if they wanted to go here, then the cost would go up about 20 times, or to about 50 billion a year or something like this.
Do you think that the same number of people securing the network is going to stay the same if they disincentivize it, though?
The main point is, what's the purpose? So we talked about the purpose is to prevent 51% attack. I mean, if you ask the mechanical question, is paying less money, and but actually, let me say this. So again, so this is isolated. In the isolated question, right? The answer is obvious, no. The chain goes down some.
Right.
It becomes longer than every other chain, other than Bitcoin, which was just the wild guess in 09. It becomes longer than other chains, and it goes along. At one point, it was 60% or more of all blockchains combined. If you combined every single other chain, and frankly, including the amount Bitcoin was spending, or roughly, Ethereum really was about 60% of all blockchains combined. So no, it will never get that big again, hopefully.
Yeah.
But your goal is to have it to like maybe, what I think as a percent of all blockchains combined, I think roughly 10% is great.
Yeah.
If you own 10% of all blockchain availability, someone else has to acquire 10% of all blockchain availability as well. But 10 to 20 or maybe 30%, anytime you go above 30%, you're under the assumption that all blockchain space is split between you, one other person who wants to kill you. You know,
Right.
that's a really wild scenario.
Valuing security tremendously.
Yeah, or overpaying, you could say.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
not. You have no values.
So
of money.
if you want to, but back to the question mechanically, would it not be more optimal if you're trying to overall reduce the cost? Would it not be optimal for like the Ethereum Foundation to just, as a centralized unit, buy a bunch of computers and then just secure the network across, just install them into these like trusted
Tezos,
areas?
Antcoin, Neos, they're going to do that now. And I'll just cut to the chase. Ethereum is not going to do that 100%. So is that more cost effective? Yes.
Nominally, but
well, is it what Ethereum's going to do? Not at all. So
but then you have political costs.
Well, there's political costs. So Ethereum is going to stick on the open market system. I know this.
Yeah.
And they're going to stick with the block reward as a percent of market cap system. I know this.
Okay.
They're not going to do a staked mining. And originally, I was thinking about it. And to be honest, once I figured out how low the inflation can go for Ethereum, staked mining didn't really matter at that point. because the main issue is you have to get inflation below 2% roughly.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get inflation below 2%, then you're the cheapest political system in the world to support a currency value. And once you're the cheapest political system in the world to support a currency
Why go
value,
lower?
huh?
Why go lower?
Well, you can, yeah, I agree with you. Why go lower? But you should. I do want to.
If you can.
Well, it fixes
yeah,
the price.
It's more attractive.
If you don't reduce the percent, no. So the dollar value, you should not go lower. I want to be clear on that. So you want to always spend this 1.2 billion, but if your price doubles and it's fixed to a percent of price, then you cut it again. So what Ethereum can do, and what I suggest they do, is they cut their inflation rate in half for Metropolis every 6 months. Once they get it to this, once they get it to
1.2 billion.
Once they get it to 0.6%. So what I suggest they do, just to have it on video or whatever, August 1st, 2017, I want them to change it to one ETH block reward, and that will take inflation rate to 2.2. And then once the price goes near $1,200, which I predict will be November 1st, 2017, I want it to take it down to 1.1. And then if they do that, I want them to, on February 1st, 2018, with the price at $2,400, I would want them to take it down to 0.06. So cut it in half again, but keep the fixed dollar amount the same of roughly 1.2 billion. And then on August 1st, 2018, at $4,000, I want them to cut it in half again to 0.06% rate of inflation. Oh, no, keep the same. And then this would be, and then from that point on, you can just cut it every year, every 6 months. Cut it in half every 6 months. And this allows for the Ethereum price to go up 400% year over year while maintaining a fixed cost. Now, granted, you're trying to guess the growth of blockchain space, but if we use Bitcoin as an example, we can guess that the cost of Bitcoin and the cost of computers have not been in tandem. If we wanted to make a wild guess based on today's value, we can predict that Ethereum, the value of Ethereum will likely be worth, let's just say at a minimum, 400% more than a computer in the same amount of time. A computer that you buy today might go up 5%.
Right.
Ethereum will probably go up at least 20, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
But 4 times more than whatever the computer will go up.
Yeah.
I think that's fair enough assessment. So
Yeah.
that's why I say cut it in half every 6 months. Now, I frankly still think it'll end up with a runaway cost on mining equipment. So when you talk about will it lengthen or strengthen the chain, so this is the tricky situation is when you cut it and then the price rises, the expenditure increases again, and then you cut it again and the expenditure decreases and the expenditure increases.
Right.
So what you'll end up having is Ethereum, which blockchains, which let's just call them relatively unstable price-wise. Once blockchain gets below 2.2% inflation, once it gets to 1 and below 1% rate of inflation, you're going to have a price that is stable throughout all time.
Yeah.
So once you have a price that is stable throughout all of time, you're going to have a much linear growth pattern. The amount paid for to the miners is going to become extremely consistent, and frankly, I think the amounts will far outweigh what they are now, because rather than protecting a percent of, let's call it $70 billion of assets, you'll be protecting a percent of $1 trillion of assets in 1 year. In 1 year, the miners can go from protecting 70 billion to 1 trillion by reducing the rates of inflation, etc.
Yeah, if you cut the block reward in half, if they're still triple the market cap, it's still an increase.
It's more.
Yeah.
It's more.
Increased incentive.
But it benefits everyone. So, all right. So I'm gonna move on to this page now, just real quick. So the next page, similar to this one.
Gotcha.
Okay. So then, so that one, Vitalik's proposal, and I just showed a way in which you could escalate down the block reward at roughly the same time intervals as I suggest. But I also want to emphasize the way that it fixes the price With Vitalik's proposal, Ethereum will, I think, have trouble going over $200 in the current situation. And then if he reduces it again, it would have trouble going over $300. Reduce it again, 400, 1,000. You see those price numbers there?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's the prices that you have to keep that price stable. And then if you go below here, this is a situation where I estimate 2 block rewards rather than 1. And again, you go from like 2 to 600, 1,200 to 4,000. And the main point I want to make here is that by reducing the end block reward from 1 potentially after the course of a year, and instead having it at a quarter of an ETH per block, you can increase the price with the same fixed expense. You can increase it from 1,000 to 4,000. I mean, that math is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But by cutting your expense in 1/4, you can increase the market cap 4 times.
You're not only
that's all I'm.
you're
trying to show there.
reducing your expense, but you're also reducing the selling pressure because again. The
Oh,
miners,
yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now these next charts, which are like super small here, so I'll just go over these 3 pages here. So yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to show anything here. So the main thing here, this top one, with a little bit of yellow box, that's the historical values of Ethereum. I just wanted to document my work. So previously, Ethereum had to recruit roughly 2,000 new investors every month in order to secure their blockchain. And then in June, they had to recruit 55,000 new investors in June alone, as they increased the expense so exponentially above. I know this is almost impossible to read, frankly.
You're looking at the orange line, the first orange line that's going horizontal, basically.
Yeah. Basically,
Okay.
that orange line, you can see that's at least the annual, and that's how much they had to recruit annually. And they used to have, for all of 2016, in order to make the price rise, they had to recruit more than 20,000 people a year. And then starting 2017, in order to make the price rise, they have to recruit more than about 250,000 to 300 or 400,000 a year. So that's a big change in your recruitment efforts.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Ethereum has had a lot of popularity, but going from 20,000 a year to 400,000 a year to stabilize the price, it's a big change. And now, what I recommend is you stick with the $400,000 price, but you just cut your expenses and keep your expenses cut in half so that they stay at a fixed value, and that makes you the lowest inflationary coin and financial asset in existence, and that will naturally make your asset incredibly attractive, more than we can imagine, to be honest. And down here, I show this is a long form where I say if the cost, it's just the bottom half of it, if the cuts were made as I suggest they should be, and if the cost was stabilized at roughly 1.2 billion annually, then you can see how the expense that Ethereum is incurring averages roughly 100 million a month in my example, and before it only incurred $100 million of expense at the biggest at the highest prices. However, Ethereum is incurring the $100 million expense while the price is going from 250 to 450 to 600, 1200, 2400 by February 2018, 4,000 by July 2018, 6,000 by December 2018, and then up to 18,000 by April 2019, which is a $1.7 trillion market cap. So the main point I wanted to show there is how the price has gone up, but the expense has stayed relatively the same while staying the most expensive one on the market. Actually, let me show you that green line at the bottom of that. Now, the green line is super hard to read, so I'm just going to read it.
Is that the market buy sell?
The market buy sell. So in the current model of Ethereum at $150 price, based on what you call the monthly recruitment or the excess of the expense. So the recruitment for new Ethereum investors let's just pretend it's 20,000 a month, right?
Okay.
Now let's say your expenses change from 20,000 a month to 20,000 people a month to 55,000 people a month. Do you recruit more people that month, or did you probably just recruit roughly 20,000 again? You just changed your expense, which had no benefit toward recruiting people, right?
Right. I would agree with that. That's
Yeah.
a fair assessment.
So
You weren't expecting to have to need the 50, right?
yeah. So the amount of new people that so the amount of expense that Ethereum incurs does not lead to new recruitment efforts. Is the main point I wanted to make there. So then when you look at the market buy sell, if you say that Ethereum recruits people in a linear fashion or some kind of organized fashion, much, not directly correlated with the price of Ethereum, if you say it's roughly linear and it increases with the price, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
then you can predict when Ethereum spends $55,000 of people's money, but they only probably continue to recruit 20,000 people, then Ethereum is effectively putting a multi-million-dollar open at market sell order on the market that has to be filled. So it just brings the price down dramatically until it stabilizes. So in that market buy sell, this is in terms of speaking with everybody, in terms of evaluating your blockchains. If you assume the recruitment levels are somewhat consistent and are expected to be consistent in the future, and then you look at how much they're essentially wasting in terms of the blockchain security, the months where it becomes absorbent are the months where you want to get out. And the months where they're hardly spending any are the months where you want to buy because it's about to go up. Because as effectively people come in, they burn some of the people who come in, and the rest of them help stabilize the price. So if 25,000 people are coming in, but they need to burn 55,000 people, then they first burn all the new investors, and then they go burn everybody else, and that brings your price down. So what you want is someone who is bringing in, let's just say 50,000 new investors and only burning 20,000, and then you get the rest. Or they bring the price up, whichever the case may be.
This is sounding like a pyramid scheme.
Well, everything
burn those people.
Everything is a pyramid scheme, like every business. Well, granted, but everything is a pyramid scheme. I mean, if you buy McDonald's hamburgers, 1% of your cost of McDonald's hamburgers pays for a CEO. The more hamburgers you buy, the bigger his paycheck. That's a pyramid, right? But now the question is, what's the percent of the paycheck that goes toward that CEO? If 50% of everything you pay for a hamburger goes toward the CEO, and only 50% goes toward making the burger, then you call that waste. But if only 1% of a burger cost goes toward the CEO, we might call that fair. If it's less than
But that's another thing. Like, what's going to incentivize the CEO to sell more burgers? If you tell him he gets 1% of all burgers sold, or if you say you only need $200,000 a year to live
doesn't
off
matter.
of?
He doesn't sell burgers. He has no effect on the sale of burgers.
I don't know. The CEO?
No, if you're, just to be literal, you're talking about miners. Miners don't pump Ethereum. Miners don't pump any particular currency. You mine whatever pays the most, and that's a completely varying system that changes daily based on the price of any currency, et cetera, et cetera.
Maybe.
So you just jump around. So you're not going to
believe in like a certain currency.
Doesn't matter.
So
you can have a lot of opinions all over the place. You could believe that women are better leaders than men are better leaders than women. Whatever the case you believe doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah. If the question is what's worth more, $4 or $2, and this is the question you're asked, what's worth more, $4 or $2? Which one do you say?
Well, yeah. If it's objective like that, it's $4.
It's $4.
Right.
I mean, it's always a simple question. One's worth more money. Doesn't matter what you believe in it. You even if Coin.
It's all about your future value,
if Coin was worth more money than Ethereum mining.
Right this minute.
Sure. So you're a miner.
Right.
And your goal is to, let's say, acquire Ethereum, but Coin is paying you more for your mining equipment. What do you do? And I'll just tell you the answer. You mine Coin, sell it, buy Ethereum.
Yeah.
It's as simple. It doesn't matter. It's a simple equation. You liquidate in seconds. You know the price at the current time. You know what the price is going to be at the time you sell. At the time you sell, you know that you'll get more money for use of your equipment mining SIA. You mine SIA, and then you buy Ethereum if your goal is to buy Ethereum. Mining Ethereum and lowering the value of your equipment equals less Ethereum for you, which effectively means your goal was not to acquire Ethereum, your goal was to lose money. If your goal is to lose money, you can do a whole lot of things. Predicting that is impossible. You know, predicting the goal of people to lose money and how they want to lose money. You can't predict that.
No. But what I'm saying is, they can look and see the price of SIA coin today. They can look and see the price of Ethereum today.
They can look and see what they're going to sell it for today.
But
yes.
that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, if I wanted to stockpile Ethereum.
If your goal is to acquire Ethereum,
right?
And I will give you $2 every single day you buy SIA, right?
But that's
then
not
Ethereum
how
will
the
give.
price. The price doesn't work like a guarantee like
well,
that.
anyways, all right, I'm gonna move on from that.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you can make, I don't know, I'm gonna leave that one be. Okay, so
Fair enough.
yeah, but anyways, so this little orange one on the bottom one of that second one, granted we're still on the first one. The main thing I want to point out there is as the Ethereum price in my example goes from $150 to $18,000, the new interest level in Ethereum merely has to stay what it is currently. It does not, the population's interest in Ethereum doesn't need to go from 1% of the population cares, now 10% care. It needs to just stay at simply 1% throughout this entire time period, and the price will naturally,
go up.
Unavoidably, go to roughly $18,000 per Ethereum.
18,000 or 1,800?
18,000.
18,000 per unit?
Per unit of Ethereum, or a $1.7 trillion market cap in about 2 years. And the reason is it's the least inflationary coin in existence. And let me just say, it goes to $18,000 only if the interest in Ethereum does not increase at all. If the interest in Ethereum does increase during that process, then it will go substantially higher.
Okay, now the first set of charts you had,
Yes.
or spreadsheets, had the price of Ethereum going to, I believe, 4,000.
Yeah, to 4,000. That was in about a year.
Yeah, it was to
In about a year.
So now we're looking at 18,000 in about 2 years?
That's 2 years. So it's a percent increase. So you go from 200 to 4,000 in about a year, and then to go from 4,000 to 18,000 is 4 times. And there you go.
Yeah, if you can get to 200 to 4,000, then yeah, the 4,000 to 18,000 is less of
As a percent increase, yeah. The whole thing's a percent increase. And so all you have to do is stabilize your cost, and then everything everybody else spends is wasted, and your cost is stabilized and it's less, and you effectively grow without any added effort while maintaining the same stable security.
I agree with you there. It's definitely going to grow, and if you reduce your mining expense, it's only going to be positive for the, price of Ethereum.
Now, question: the amount of money going to miners,
Right.
Yes.
is basic. We're talking about a substantial change in the whole structure.
Yes.
And they're going to be getting a whole lot less.
Exactly.
Well, wait. I'm going to cover that. So talking about miners getting less, because this is actually a mistake that a lot of people believe is true, but it's not true. It's actually not true. And it's weird because Ethereum is reducing their cost from 11 to 2% of their market cap, but their market cap will likewise change. So the first question you got to ask is how much ETH are the miners holding? Well, first let me just talk about the financial outcome to each individual miner. So each individual miner, in my opinion, they mine the things that pay the most. And then if their goal is to buy Ethereum, they sell the things that pay the most and then buy Ethereum with it.
Makes sense.
This is my opinion on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's
just economic.
right.
Yeah.
Most rational people are going to follow that.
Yeah. And so, then on the entire blockchain, there's an amount of money that all blockchains spend, which let's just say combined from all blockchains. Well, first let me talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin spends 1.6 billion but roughly half of their spending, if not more, it's probably a lot more, is on something called ASICs. And ASIC units cannot mine any other blockchain, so they're not on the open market. They're exclusive to Bitcoin. So let's just pretend half of Bitcoin is ASICs, so then they spend 800 million annually on the open market for blockchain mining.
All right.
And then when you combine that with Ethereum and all others, the value, Ethereum spends, actually, let me take this back. Bitcoin might spend 800 million on the open market. Ethereum spends roughly 2 billion on the open market. And then if you make the, what I'll say, relatively wild assumption that all other chains combined spend 2 billion, which is probably a lot less, but you would call this the total market for mining. So let's just, for talking purposes, say the total market for mining is $6 billion. So Ethereum would reduce its expenditure on mining for 1 month, but then the price of value would adjust, et cetera, but ignoring that. Ethereum would reduce its expenditure on mining. Let's just pretend that the price never increased ever. Ethereum would go from spending 2 billion to 500 million. So in terms of the total value of the market, instead of being 6 billion, it would be 4.5 billion, or a 25% increase. And then all miners will receive roughly 25% of what they got before. So if Ethereum reduces their cost 80%, all miners experience roughly a 25%. I'm just making up this number with the assumption that Ethereum is roughly 25% of the total marketplace or so. All miners will see roughly a 25% decrease in how much they receive from their mining. However, the price of Ethereum naturally will go up substantially, and Ethereum will go up probably 400%. From 200 to 1,000 is a fairly safe, in my opinion, a safe bet. So the idea.
So it's about equal.
Well, if you own, it's roughly 5%. If 5% of your assets are in Ethereum, and then 95% of your assets are mining, and then Ethereum goes up this 500%, and then your other assets experience a 20% decline, the 500% rise more than makes up for the 25% decline. So let's just say it's $100. You have $5 in Ethereum and $95 in mining equipment. You try to sell your mining equipment, instead of $95, it's worth $70. But you try to sell your Ethereum, and it's gone from $25 to $5 to $25. So you take the 70 and the 25. I mean, you're pretty close.
Yeah.
So roughly, if more than in the total value of your financial assets, if Ethereum composes more than 5%, so regarding the question you said earlier where you say 20 miners hold 20% of all their Ethereum, this is your suggestion?
Yeah.
So if miners actually did that, then Ethereum simply needs to go from $200 to $400 for each individual miner to be financially better off with the change. So in terms of the individual miner who mines Ethereum, they only need to have roughly 5% of their individual percent of value of assets in Ethereum compared to mining equipment, and et cetera. And then in terms of all miners, well, if you mine a coin and you have no Ethereum, then you will lose some money. Even though you're not involved in the Ethereum discussion, you will lose some money. But now, here's the real tricky question about it, is that it creates this stability point. So right now, all the blockchains are completely unstable, and the amount paid for mining varies every single fucking month. And Ethereum goes from paying $20 million to 270 just 3 months after. And so there's no scalability, there's no stability within the mining marketplace. And then Bitcoin effectively will never pay more than it is now. Like in terms of what I calculated here, which I think you guys kind of agree with me on this. Bitcoin is now burning 1.6 billion, which is roughly 3 times more than anybody else. If the price of Bitcoin was to double, then it naturally burns 3 billion. If the price of Bitcoin triples 300%, more, if it goes to $6,000 or whatever, then Bitcoin is now burning $8 billion, where everybody else is spending 500 million.
Yeah.
So when you look at the value of the asset, the value of Bitcoin starts to naturally decline, because wasting $7.5 billion in a year, every single year, guaranteed, starts to add up.
No, I'm with you. Like, the incentive is increasing as a percentage of the total market cap.
Not the incentive, the cost.
The cost, right? Yeah.
The incentive is
the cost
same.
to the miners, the cost to the investors, the incentive to mine. It's basically the
Well,
same price.
it's kind of it's kind of similar, but the total market pool for
Mhm.
mining is the incentive to the miner. The individual per coin is to the investor. So Ethereum is reducing it 80%. Maybe the total request by mining is 25% reduction.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because basically, like you're saying that investors are a lot less likely to switch assets than miners are to switch coins that they're
No,
mining.
no, I'm not. I'm saying that miners they mine what is profitable.
Right.
And
right.
since the profitability and the length of the chain changes, if Ethereum reduces their price, basically the total demand for blockchain mining is what increases the miner's profit. The total demand, not Ethereum's, not SIA, not Bitcoin, but the total demand.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean,
So-
I think
Yeah. Okay.
you're still only mining one individual coin when you mine them.
Yes.
So it's whatever the profitability of whatever coin you're mining.
No,
If
well,
that
but
is-
you can always switch coins.
You can. Yeah.
The difficulty of switching a coin is relatively easy, and if you essentially say you need to be able to mine Bitcoin, or nobody mines Bitcoin, but you need to be able to mine Ethereum, and maybe one or two others, but
Mhm.
you'll always be Ethereum plus something else if Ethereum is the dominant player. But one other thing I wanted to let me show you the green thing on this one. This thing
Okay.
gets super interesting. In terms of this little green blob here, and I'm just going to go to the top of this next page
Mhm.
or whatever. So after the yellow, I haven't even got to the last page, but I might skip that one. But that little green line at the top there. So in the blue numbers, they're going from 200 to 30,000 in this wild situation,
Mhm.
and then the green line goes from 27 million to 45 million.
Gotcha.
So the main thing that I want to point out with this one is that in this situation, I'm saying that Ethereum has a slightly increasing interest level at roughly 5% a month increased interest, or maybe 50% increase in interest year over year. So I'm going to say Ethereum has a 50% increase in interest year over year.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
I think that's fair too. And then the mining costs stay what I say they are before. This green thing is what I want to show you is the difference between the recruitment of new investors minus the cost of mining. So if they recruit in the first one, if they recruit 40,000 investors and the cost of mining is 34,000, then they have $27 million buy order popped onto the market. So if they continuously recruit 40,000 people, and if the price stayed at $200, then the new investors are naturally adding a $27 million buy order to the market. Now, there's two things I want to point out with that. One is, if everybody remains a holder or whatever, the more percent of people who remain holders, of course, the price goes up more.
Yeah. There's
But-
less supply.
Less supply. But even ignoring that, what this also means is that $27 million of Ethereum can be sold for US dollars, and the individual people benefited without creating a drop in the price.
Maintaining equilibrium.
Maintaining equilibrium. So people have to liquidate into US dollars $27 million every single month in order to maintain the $200 price, otherwise it goes up. So some of it varies, but I'm just going to say, so if you cut it down to one block reward, and you say there's now 30,000 people coming every single month, so I'm saying that the interest in Ethereum has gone down substantially. The interest in Ethereum has gone down substantially in this situation. The price has gone from $200 to $500 in this time. The open buy order on the market to maintain a $500 price with one block reward with substantially less interest than it has now is $65 million every month. So in order to not go more than $500 3 months from now, in order to not go more than $500 three months from now, $65 million of money of people who currently hold will have to sell their Ethereum. Otherwise, the price again will go up.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. Now to mining though, I want to address the miners, right?
Yeah.
You see, now in 1 month it went to 41 million, just right after the change of an 80% reduction. We're now up to 84 million again. We're now at double the cost it was just a few months ago. We're at 84 million every single month, or whatever. Or 84 million very many months. So it goes back up. So the main thing I want to say is that the total expenditure is what matters to miners, because they care about the total demand on all mining. So even though the percent goes down from 20 to 80, if the market cap goes up 4 or 5 times, then the total expenditure goes up. And then likewise, Ethereum will have it in such a way that the expenditure is more consistent at roughly 100 to 150 million, roughly 100 million a month. But anyway, moving on. So then if you cut the block reward again, which I would recommend you do, then the monthly mining expense would go down to 60 million the next month. And then again at $1,400, to maintain a price of $1,400 with no more interest than there is now. So I want to emphasize that. With no more popularity of Ethereum going from 200 to 1,400 in 6 months, then there will be an open buy order on the market of $51 million every single month. So in order to not go...
Did you say an open buy order?
Yeah. An open buy order.
Because you're recruiting new people, but you're selling less because there's less.
Well, the
money.
expense, the expense is fixed.
Yeah.
You're attempting to fix the expense at 100 billion. So every time you recruit, 1 billion roughly. So every time you recruit more people, it becomes an open buy order, which demands that people sell. So if there's a
It's going to push the price up more.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly. Especially if people hold even more.
Especially but let's just assume people don't hold. But yeah, even if they hold, goes astronomical.
Right. I think that's part of the reason that
Bitcoin done good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like regarding holders though, but in order to only go to $1,400 in 6 months, I am making the assumption that $400 million are of the current Ethereum holders are convinced to sell. So to go from 200 to 1,400, you still have to have $400 million of Ethereum sold to only go to 1,400. If you actually hold for 6 months, it goes higher.
Yeah.
And then the next one, and then if you look at that mining cost line, which is under the orange one, about 2 under the orange one, you can see how it starts at 172 million for what it was last month, or what it will be for July, and then it goes to 41, and then to 72 million, 84 million, 58, 89, then 122, 75, 110, 145, 175, 197, 100, 148 million. Basically, it still goes up, just to address minor concerns, it still goes up to an extremely high figure, but still the price of Ethereum will most likely continue to go up, or if it does not go up, then you are able to sell 50 million, you are able to liquidate up to $50 million of Ethereum every single month to maintain a stable price. Whereas if you were to do that now, the price would naturally go down.
Yeah.
Because we've reached equilibrium at 5 blocks, which is roughly a price of $120. That's the thing that I want to kind of emphasize. The equilibrium at 5 blocks is like $120, $150. But
why exactly? Because of the mining costs.
The mining costs. So at 5 blocks at a price of $200, it's $2 billion. It's $2 billion. So that means in order to pay the $2 billion, you have to burn, every single dollar that comes in. And I'm saying that even if your recruitment level does not change at all, then you can put a $50 million buy order on the market, which basically maintains a flat market if people are to liquidate. But if 100% of everyone's held, if 100% of everyone held, then you still would not increase the price over $200 unless you can burn more than 2 billion, recruit more than 2 billion of annual investors.
Because they're gonna sell the miners well.
Well, yeah, they burn it or whatever. So if it goes to like $400, they're burning 4 billion. So this inflation rate effectively limits the potential the potential price that it can eventually go for, because eventually you're just giving all your money to miners. And not that it's a particularly bad thing, but it does no good for the blockchain over X amount of dollars, and then at one point your miners effectively own the blockchain.
And you're going to lose your recruitment.
And you lose the recruitment.
I mean,
People
you
become
can't-
dissatisfied.
That's right.
People aren't satisfied when they're burning $4 billion for what everybody is doing for 50 million.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. So this is why your price ends up stabilizing. So Bitcoin, a lot of people are wondering why the blockchain renaissance is coming on right now, and Bitcoin like tripled in value. A lot of people don't know this. The reason Bitcoin tripled in value is what? They cut their mining rewards in half. So they cut their mining rewards in half, it triples in value. The amount that miners receive is even more than it was before, because the market cap more than offset it, as it naturally would, because the recruitment level went from 8% to 4%. So it's obviously much easier to maintain a 4% level of recruitment rather than 8%.
Mm-hmm.
And Ethereum, if it does what I suggest, it will go from 11% to 2%. The lowest of anything in the world. You know, US dollar is the only thing that's relatively close to that I know of.
What is the US dollar?
Inflation rate, maybe 1 to 3%, who knows.
Okay.
But basically, if Ethereum got below 1%, which they could, then they would clearly be the least inflationary financial asset that's global in nature and has a market liquidity. But Sean, you like that presentation, man?
Yeah. I think that's definitely very good points, and I think that I mean it does have a lot of assumptions, but I think it's definitely true in general that the price is going to skyrocket if you just dramatically reduce the mining costs. So.
And it will just to be clear, the cost will actually be fixed. It will just be fixed in dollars rather than a percent of the worth of the asset. So you reduce the inflationary rate, you reduce the amount that you pay miners as a percent of your asset, and you try to keep it in fixed dollar cost. So if you keep it in fixed dollar cost, then I agree with the asset's going to skyrocket.
And I think it totally makes perfect sense for a coin like Ethereum that's basically, it's proven itself. It's in like a stable point in its life cycle in history, and it's established, and like if you're just starting out and you want to say, all right, I'm going to pay $100 million every month to secure the coin, then you're going to be losing. Your coin's probably not going to take off the ground very much.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
But once you get to the market cap and the value that Ethereum has, and basically the evolution in history that it has, it's worth it.
For any other coin to match the expenditure that I'm suggesting with the reduced level, I just want to be clear with this, with the 80% reduced level as a percent of inflation, but it'll actually come out to the same amount of expenditure grossly. For any other coin to match it, they have to have 100% of all their value spent on mining.
Yeah.
They have to destroy all their entire coin, spend it on mining, in order for them to match Ethereum.
It's security, right?
Security or whatever.
Yeah.
But they would have to. There's no coin. Ethereum would be spending $1 billion every month. In theory, every year. In theory, they could just buy every other coin for $1 billion every year, because no other coin is worth more than $1 billion aside Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin. But Ethereum could have just buy everything else on the market instead of paying miners if this was an option. And it will be in Casper, just to be clear. It will be in Casper, but that's a year or two from now. But for Metropolis, it can eliminate inflation globally.
Right.
So if Ethereum has less inflation than gold, less inflation than the US dollar, greater fungibility, tradability, greater security than US dollars, gold, everything else, more transparency, etc., etc. I have no doubt, personally, that one, it will have more interest than it does now, and all my numbers assume that it has no more interest than it does now. But one, it'd have more interest, and I think
I definitely want to read that article too. I've been looking at that. He's had that journal sitting out here for a while, and
talking about blockchain and accounting
and
journals.
accounting.
They have 2 major articles in that
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
And they referenced the prior month's issue as well, which I did not read, but I
Yeah.
should have.
But yeah,
Very
so
cool,
so it's if Ethereum does this, what will end up happening long term is that one, the price of Ethereum would go up immensely, to the tune of $30,000 or so, but a $1 trillion market cap, which occurs once Ethereum price goes to roughly $12,000. But that would happen in about 2 years. Ethereum would become the least inflationary asset worldwide, untouchable, because it would become the biggest by default, and then no one can you can no longer compete against it with less inflation. Once somebody goes below 1%, saying that you're going to a 1/4% or a 20th% is a little bit.
Yeah, like what value are you really adding? I mean,
it's kind of questionable in value. The only way that Ethereum can get beat is eliminating it completely, which Casper will do a year or two later with the validators and proof of stake. However, anyways, so if Ethereum, and then in terms of miners will actually their payouts will grow substantially, because even if Ethereum has no more interest than it does now, it will consistently every single month be spending $100 million after once it reaches $1 trillion in market cap. But that's a very small inflationary rate as a percent of the trillion. And then in terms of miners, they will be getting roughly twice the amount of money consistently every month than they would otherwise. And they would get the money in a very protected asset, one that's much more likely to grow or at least stabilize than an asset like Bitcoin, which effectively cannot grow beyond what it is right now. And Bitcoin will be stuck for 4 years until it cuts its rate in half again, and then it will grow because the switch trade cut.
You have like a total. So, couple of comments, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Personnel cost. Basically, it's fixed at $100K throughout this.
I don't think there's actually any personnel cost. I just threw that out there.
Okay. Well, yeah. So what I was saying is, like, what if, and I'm all for it. Like, what if they had a variable percent? What if Ethereum Foundation or the developers got like 0.01% of the total market cap of Ethereum or something?
They
like
don't.
That? Yeah, I know. And so, like, I don't know, some sort of incentive like that.
Oh no, they have Ethereum that's like locked up for 5 years.
Yeah.
So they effectively get a percent of the market cap of what it will be in 2025 or 2024. They don't get a percent of the market cap in 2018 or 17 or whatever, but in 2024 or whatever the case, they get 1% or something.
So it's still like that same stock options incentive.
It's a stock
instead
option.
Instead of a fixed salary, you're getting a stock option.
This is what they all got.
And that's kind of like, so what I'm getting at is, instead of you paying the miners a fixed cost, could it be like a fixed plus variable, like a linear equation?
Miners have the option of buying Ethereum as everybody else.
Right.
So if miners buy Ethereum, then they have the incentive the same as the developers do.
Yeah, but they're also securing the network, I guess.
They're not, because so miners are available to whatever pays the most, and so all miners combined secure all blockchains, and then they go to whatever that pays the most, and then if they want to buy ETH, then they buy ETH, and then if they buy ETH, then they have the exact same incentive that the founders do effectively, or that you and I do. Yeah. So like you and I, so this $270 million that was burned in 1 month, that is your money, my money, your money.
Right.
This is $270 million of your dollars that is burned in 1 month. So let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
I need $5,000 more to burn. Will you give it to me? Just pretend.
No.
Okay, sure. So if you don't give me that, then I have lost everything. You know, I can't do what I'm trying to do. So who secured who? You giving me the $5,000 or me doing work for the $5,000? Which was it? Who's doing who the favor? You give me $5,000 and me doing work for that, or me doing work and offering to do work for money? am I doing you a favor by offering to do work for money? I don't know. It's kind of one of those weird
It's
questions.
a mutual benefit.
But well,
you would think, if
no,
you
no,
reach an agreement.
if you reach an open market agreement, and the open market agreement is less than 20 million, but regardless, so if the story is that I can't do this thing unless you continue to give me $5,000, I can't do the thing.
I've got to get $5,000 in return, or it's
well,
not, or I don't.
I mean, the question is who's doing who the favor. It's sort of hard to say.
Okay.
It's sort of hard to say that I'm doing you a favor by taking your money and burning it for you every month. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not.
You're giving me
No,
a service.
But beyond $20 million is not a service. We established earlier that a fixed dollar amount is the value of the service. Having a fluctuating dollar amount does not benefit you. A linear dollar amount is what benefits you. And so, okay, so let me ask you a question. I got a chair that sells for $5, and I got the exact same chair that I sell to you exclusively for $5,000. I sell the $5 chair. I sell the $5 chair to every single other person, and they flood the market with the $5 chair. I sell only the $5,000 chair to you. Am I doing you a favor?
No.
Yeah, I'm the only one with the $5,000 chair. I'm expensive.
But they're all the same. All the chairs are the same. I just literally sell it for $5 to everybody else. I only sell you the $5,000 chair. So I provide you with a chair. If you say the only goal is to buy a chair no matter the value of shares, and I offered you one chair and I offer everybody else a chair as well, I just happen to charge them a lot less. But some people would say a chair is worth $5 because literally that's what everybody else is paying. Only one person is paying $5,000. To say that all chairs are worth $5,000 rather than $5, that's kind of a ludicrous assumption.
But it's kind of like if you don't charge me $5,000 for the chair, I can use my $5,000 to buy all your shares almost. It's kind of because that's essentially what the.
Where is this coming? You have to play out the scenario.
Okay, so
you have to say where you were before, and then how you got to where you were. You can't just say you can't. Okay, Bigfoot. Let me ask you a question. Bigfoot can probably, we don't know that he can't, but he can probably maybe shoot lasers and burn down your house. And the only way to prevent that is to have your entire house covered in mirrors. Is your entire house covered in mirrors?
No, I haven't seen Bigfoot.
What? So. No. Your house is not covered in mirrors, so you are unprotected from Bigfoot.
Exactly.
With lasers.
Exactly. Yeah, laser Bigfoot. I mean, you never. This guy does not exist, but imaginary world, he exists. So laser.
Just because you've never seen a 51% attack doesn't mean they don't exist.
Laser guided Bigfoot, you are unprotected from laser guided Bigfoot. Now, in order to protect yourself from laser guided Bigfoot, I want $5 billion. Other people are paying $20 million. Other people are paying $50 million. But I want $20 billion from you to protect yourself from laser-guided Bigfoot.
No, and I understand what you're saying. Like that's why Tezos didn't want the miners in the situation in general, and like that.
They just have staked miners. All their miners are staked. It's a proof of stake system, and the reward is rewarded randomly. It's a very good system. Let me just say, it's an excellent system. If Ethereum wanted to do the same, I'd fully support it. How much hash power will Tezos effectively have protecting their system at all times? They will effectively have 20 million of hash power protecting their systems annually. No more than that, or maybe 100 million at tops. They will never have 4 billion. They will never spend 4 billion doing something that adds no value long term. It's literally burnt money. Only one computer is required to power a blockchain. Every computer beyond that is the purchase of insurance. Everybody else agrees that the value of insurance is 20 million a month. Litecoin pays 40 million. Bitcoin, Ethereum pays somewhere between.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the value of health insurance, should the value of health insurance be 5 times in November what it was in October or something? Presumably it should be the same every month. This is how people use insurance. Security insurance is that it's the same value every single month. And then in terms of how much you should pay, you look at what other people pay, and then you can sort of make judgments on what the value should be. And then in terms of mythical attacks, so you first have to go what has actually happened in real world. And the limit of the real world attacks is limited to roughly $20 million. Everybody who pays more than an annual expense of $20 million has not been attacked. People who pay an annual expense of less than $20 million have been attacked.
Oh, have they?
Yeah,
Okay.
People who pay less than $20 million have been attacked.
Okay, see, I didn't know that's a key.
Well, it's important. So people less than 20 million have been attacked. So is 4 billion appropriate? Well, it's quite a bit more. 100 million is a lot more than 50 million. 4 billion is not even on the table.
And you're saying that even if they do get attacked, all they have to do is just roll it back?
Yeah.
Start over.
You have to convince everyone else that you are legit and they don't actually exist. So like for Ethereum to be attacked and for it to be successfully attacked, they would have to have a Vitalik imposter. They would have to take over the organization.
Yeah, alert.
Push your email in there.
Okay.
You'd effectively have to destroy the entire political system of Ethereum in order to successfully attack Ethereum. Now that said, the main issue with the 51% attack is it does cost both parties money. So both people spend money, but if you're spending so they can only attack you if they have more than 50% of your assets. So if you're spending 50 million and they spend 50 million to attack you, and then 1 month later, you're back up and running, you've wasted 25 million, they've wasted 25 million, and that's it. That's the outcome of the event. Now, there's investor confidence, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But a persistent attack is a totally different issue.
Yeah.
But in a persistent attack where, which would only be effective if I'm a licensed, approved terrorist, I have unlimited amounts of funds, billions of dollars that I have no desire to ever see again. And my only goal in life is to cause harm, but no one will harm me in return. Nobody, there will be no retribution upon me. Well, if that's the life I live, there's cheaper ways than buying all computers to hurt Bitcoin and Ethereum. There's maybe 10 key personalities. There's news networks. I can purchase an entire news network and just slander them for years. There's so many different ways. I can Here's the other thing. If your goal has any financial incentive, if you have any financial incentive, I can purchase an entire blockchain for $100 million. I can just buy one for $100 million. I can buy all of Tezos for $300 million. I can buy the entirety of Tezos for $300 million. Why would I spend $1 billion with the remote possibility that I'm able to fool everyone who uses Ethereum that I'm the legit Ethereum? And if I lose all my money.
Yeah.
It's a 1%. It's a 1% chance of success for a 1% chance of reward.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely terrible gamble. Whereas you can just legally purchase them. The Tezos sold for $300 million. It's not really that expensive to buy excellent blockchains. So this fictional land of the 51% attack, you have to walk the whole thing through. And it's easy to imagine people who are suicidal, and we know that some people are suicidal with $20 million. But we've never seen anybody suicide more than $20 million at any time. And then you question whether spending more than 100, more than 200, more than $1 billion, more than 2, 3, 7, 8 billion.
Do you not think
at some point it's too much?
The banks, the G20 banks, if they came together and said that all right, cryptocurrencies are a threat to our
so this is where
that's
the point. That's the point. So the story is that the only way you can stop cryptocurrency is these hash attacks. That's fucking stupid as shit. Anyone who thinks like that is just fucking a moron. If you want to,
Which is kind of what I've always heard. So I kind
no,
of
it's fucking stupid as shit. If you want to stop crypto, you close down all the exchanges. You close down the legal selling of crypto. You say that there's a ban on crypto. You go around and hound people and arrest the people who are trading and purchasing crypto, just like prohibition. So in the prohibition era, or whatever the case, that was an effective way to reduce the sale of beer. What was not effective, or what would not have been effective, is to quadruple the market of beer. If your goal was to reduce beer consumption, would you
Flooded supply.
would you flood the supply? No, you would just literally arrest and criminalize and attack literal people, and that costs
curb the demand.
that costs way less than the millions or billions you would have lost in the off chance that you were making fake beer and trying to convince people your beer was the real beer. Like, for example, let's say Budweiser.
Mm-hmm.
If I can produce more beer than Budweiser and put on the label of Budweiser and sell it, but I'm making generic beer that was previously selling for $1 and now I sell it for $2 with the brand name Budweiser. But I can only do this so long as I'm able to convince people I'm Budweiser.
Right.
That's such an outlandish situation. And how many resources would you devote to this? How many people would you talk to before this plan got executed? How many people would tell you you're a fucking idiot? I mean, there's no situation in the world where someone says, I'm going to destroy all the money that that you've ever, more money than, people barely know exists or whatever. I will destroy just all my money with the off chance of pretending I'm Budweiser.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's a ridiculous risk.
Gentlemen, I have to go.
That's great.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right. Great presentation.
I know,
It's a wrap?
Excellent devil's
No, you
advocate.
did. Yeah, you did good at devil's advocate.
Trying to make sure we can see
Yeah,
all the
you're great.
possibilities.
You're great.
I sent both you and Sean that
Yeah.
Google alert,
Yeah.
and there's really no reason other than to give you an
Yeah.
example, but it's a handy tool,
Mhm.
and I think, and
Oh yeah, I wrote it down. I'm definitely gonna sign
and you
up
can
for it.
and you can and that's all I did was send me a daily alert
Mhm.
on articles that are dealing with Ethereum.
Yeah.
And you could do the same thing with Teos
Yeah.
or just
Right.
cryptocurrency or
Yeah. Any
mining
keywords,
equipment or whatever
yeah.
you choose. And obviously you could, so far as I know, there's no limit to the number of alerts you could ask for. And
That's
the,
really cool.
And the
Yeah.
price it's a good price.
Free.
Hey,
There you go.
But
Yeah.
based on the and sorry to go back to,
No.
I want to check out the Google Alerts thing for sure.
Yeah.
But just to get it, we'll get it on official video stuff. So now, based on the information I presented, and granted, this is not all the information possible. You can always do your own research, and I always encourage everybody to do so.
Yes.
So, in terms of either monthly or annual expenditure for blockchain security, how much do you believe Ethereum should spend, monthly or annual, whatever you prefer to phrase it in?
If you have to pick an amount for now.
Okay. I'll say
Yeah.
I'll say monthly, 60 million.
Okay, monthly 60 million. You?
I'm cheap. I'm gonna get monthly 30 million.
Monthly 30 million. Okay, that sounds great with me, and that is 1 ETH per block. Just to be clear, that covers at the $200 price. That's actually 30 or 40 million or 45 million maybe at the $200 price.
That's what it was, yeah.
So that's covered with 1 ETH per block, and then in terms of the block reward, do you support 5 ETH per block, 3 ETH, which is 6%, like Vitalik is recommending, or 1 ETH per block, which is 2%?
At this point, I mean,
If you can get the job done for one, that's definitely what I want.
well said, yeah.
I think that's well said
Yeah.
too, and I fully agree with that. And then likewise, if there's less sell demand on the market, for example, in the month of June, had the sell demand gone from 270 million to 50 million, right? So if there's 200 million less ETH sold in June, or to put it another way, if you put a at market sell order of 200 million ETH that wouldn't have been there otherwise, so if you put an at market sell order of 200 million ETH, what effect might that have to the price, in your opinion?
In 1 month,
Uh-huh.
I'd say it could have an impact of a reduction in the price of, I'll say maybe about a 40-50% price reduction.
How about you?
If you do what now?
if you put a $200 million sell order on the market of ETH, that wouldn't have been there otherwise.
What's
in
the
1 month.
monthly volume or market cap right
Let's
now?
see.
About 700 mil, yeah.
700 million. And you're now adding 200
million at market sell.
Yeah, with velocity, it's going to at least be a third. I mean,
so you say 30 to 40% drop in the
yeah,
price?
I would say 40% is pretty fair.
Maybe
So-
Yeah.
higher. And I'd say, actually, I'm thinking more like a minimum of 40, quite reasonably 60.
Yeah.
I fully
I
agree
think
with you
that's
guys.
fair assessment.
And just to recall the events that actually occurred is ETH went from $420 to $150. So it was like a 70% reduction or whatever. This was the
Yeah.
reality of the event. So you can sort of see how, even though it's all these abstract numbers,
Mhm.
they affect you in real life. And if every time ETH, if it does not change, every time ETH goes to $400, there will be a new $250 million sell order on the market. It's just absolutely insane, frankly. But anyways, so do you support a? So you both support the 1 ETH per block if it gets the job done August 1st?
Right. Yeah. If it
Would
gets
y'all-
the job done, certainly.
Would you be comfortable in investing in ETH if it does that? Would you
yeah.
still feel it's secure? Would you be more likely to keep your investment as it is, or invest more if they were making the change?
Invest more.
Yeah, because the price is going to go up. So yeah.
You'd both invest a lot more?
Mhm.
I would too. Frankly,
Yeah.
I would leverage everything I own.
There you go. I'm all in.
But ignoring
Ain't
that.
holding back.
But hey, frankly, I'm glad that you got a bunch of ETH now. It does make me happy. I lowered my percent of ETH investments a little bit, just because I'm glad that you got a ton or a decent amount. And
Got some exposure in the family.
I got exposure too.
Yeah.
And so jointly we have a decent investment in ETH. It's kind of nice. But
Yeah. It's a
but-
good time to add
but-
some exposure. Yeah.
yeah, I think this is a great time to add it. And when the block reward goes from 5 ETH to 3 ETH, then the stability point, depending on what you call market demand,
Mm-hmm.
if you believe the stability point today is $120, which is roughly 1.5 billion of expense annually, or something like that,
Yeah.
the stability point will go to roughly $200 or $220, or maybe $250 at most. But so just to be clear, even with 3 blocks, and I know this is bad news, frankly, but even with the 3 blocks, if ETH goes to $400 instead of a $250 million order, it is still $170 million each month that's popped onto the market selling ETH. So
Yeah.
just to be clear, it won't hold above 400. It just can't physically hold above 400. So if it goes above 400, we're gonna fucking sell, and then we'll buy again once it drops. But
Yeah.
Bitcoin, likewise, Bitcoin has done the climb that it's ever going to do. It is currently the least inflationary asset on the market. If ETH goes to 3 blocks, then it's at 6%. Bitcoin's at 4%. It's still the least inflationary asset on the market. If ETH goes to 1 block, it becomes the least inflationary asset worldwide. But regardless, Bitcoin price will not go up substantially from where it is now.
Really?
It won't, because like I just illustrated, frankly, Bitcoin is already burning 1.6 billion where everybody else is burning roughly 200 million or whatever. If Bitcoin was to double in price, it now burns $3 billion. It has to recruit twice as many people simply to maintain that price.
Peace, gentlemen.
It just cannot happen. It just can't happen mathematically. And if you applied the math, you'd probably agree, but you have to apply the math.
It's deflationary.
See you, Phil.
Peace.
The supply.
What do you mean it's deflationary?
So the supply is fixed at 21
4%.
million.
No. Bitcoin burns 44% of its asset into the miners every year.
Yeah, but those miners still hold the Bitcoin, and by burning it, you're
No, they
basically
don't.
saying people that, well, what are they doing with it? They're still selling it to someone
for US
else.
dollars.
So someone's holding it though.
That
Someone's
does not
getting it.
matter. It's an open sell order on the market. So currently there's an open sell order on the Bitcoin market of 1.6 billion.
Yeah.
If that increases, if the Bitcoin doubles and that increases to 3 billion, moving the open sell order on the market with same demand, if the demand does not change, if it
Mhm.
changes from 1.6 billion to 3 billion, what happens to the price?
It's yeah.
It
Obviously.
has to go down.
Yeah.
So in order to support the $3 billion expense, or the 100% more, then the recruitment of Bitcoin people has to consistently be 100% more than it is today to simply maintain a flat price. To simply maintain a flat price, they have to double the level of recruitment every single year and destroy all their money to simply maintain a flat price if it was to double. So the dilemma that you're facing, or whatever, that people think about, the dilemma here is, why do people, like, if you go from burning 1.5 billion to burning $3 billion,
Mhm.
why are people less interested in investing in your product? You're wasting more of their money.
Right. Yeah.
Wasting 100 billion.
I'm trying to
100
think
million
through
is,
the burning process, because at the end of every order,
all you gotta
there's
think
a
about.
seller,
All you gotta
there's
think.
a buyer, but I understand the pressure.
It's a at market sell.
Yeah, and so basically
sell.
it's going to push the price. So it's going to.
If you have an at market sell, does it up the price or decrease the price?
And that's
it
another
decreases the
thing.
price.
Why the hell do they do at market sells? Why do they
Well,
not
they
do like
have
bots
new ETH
that-
every single fucking day.
Yeah.
If you have new ETH every fucking day, do you hold on to ETH because you might not have it tomorrow? No. You get more ETH every fucking day. If you're a miner and you invest in equipment in industrial level, I mean, hobbyist, granted, you're a hobbyist, totally different issue.
Yeah.
But when you think about industrial economics, if you get new ETH every fucking day, the more ETH you hold on to, the more liability you have.
The more exposure.
The more
investment.
liability you have. It is an unnecessary, unwanted risk. You would never mine a coin and hold more than like 20% of your assets in that coin, because effectively you're now just a coin holder. Why the fuck did you buy mining equipment in the first place? If you buy fucking mining equipment, your objective is to make money mining. It is not to fucking hold coins. If your goal is to hold coins, you buy the fucking coin.
Outright, you think?
Always. Every single fucking time. If you have $1,000 and you want $1,000 of Ethereum, do you buy a computer and mine Ethereum, or do you buy $1,000 of Ethereum?
You buy $1,000 of Ethereum right then, yeah.
It's the shortest path, and it's the only logical path. Now, if you buy $1,000 of computer equipment, is your internal goal to acquire Ethereum? And if it was to acquire Ethereum, then you should have bought Ethereum, if that was your goal. But if your goal was to make money mining, or if your goal is to make money on owning computer equipment, then you go to the whatever pays the most. There's absolutely no reason where you would get paid $1 a day in Ethereum bucks and $2 a day in SIA bucks, and then you would mine Ethereum because your goal is to acquire Ethereum. If your goal is to acquire Ethereum, you get $2 a day in SIA bucks, and then you buy $2 of Ethereum every single day. That's how you do this. It's not a very complicated process, frankly.
Basically, what if I told you that you could have an Ethereum tree? It's going to cost you 1,000 Ethereum, but it's going to pay you 10 Ethereum a day.
Wait, now what?
So you can go out there and buy an Ethereum tree. It's going to cost you 1,000 tree.
It's not, because can it only give me Ethereum? Can it only give me Ethereum? Can it only?
This special tree this is an ASIC, basically like it's
there's no such thing as a Ethereum ASIC. So
no, there's not.
There's not.
GPU,
so it doesn't even exist in the world.
All right,
but in real world, this Ethereum tree, can it only give me Ethereum, or can it give me any coin ever? Any coin.
I will say, for the sake, you have the added benefit of flexibility, and it can give you any coin ever.
Okay, any coin ever. Okay. So my objective, let's pretend, is to acquire money and assets.
But your objective is to maximize your long-term wealth, right? And
maximize it's optimized.
Okay. So we're in agreement there.
So it can give me any coin ever, and my objective is to maximize the amount of money I have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the amount that Ethereum pays and SIA pays changes every single day.
And because you've done your research, you know that it's going to basically keep paying more into the future, more than it's worth now, anyway.
Well, what I will do is based on the overall flex of the mining market. I will set my miner, let's just say every single day, to mine the coin that pays the most, and then if my objective is to hold Ethereum for investment purpose,
Right.
which I think is a fair objective, then I would use my computers and my money tree to acquire as much money as I can, and then I would use that amount of money to buy Ethereum.
Right.
And if my money tree will give me half the amount of money, if I say I want it to give me Ethereum, then I'll say give me the SIA, and then I'll use that twice as amount of money to buy Ethereum.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty fair assumption. Most people, myself included, are going to swap to whichever current cryptocurrency is the most profitable.
Even though you have your love, I know you got your love, and I know that people make irrational decisions like, I like to buy Ethereum, and I incorrectly held it when it was $400 before. So, like, just like miners make irrational decisions, so do investors. But when you go to, like, you know, who do you anticipate, who do you compensate for? Do you compensate, do you like, waste billions of dollars to compensate the miner who loves Ethereum no matter the value of mining Ethereum in anticipation of this person, or do you just compensate for the typical market actor?
You compensate for the market need, and the market actor. There's no reason, whether he loves it or not, that's great and all, but like, it's business is business, and if you're trying to make a token, the transaction.
And then likewise, like I said before, if more than 5% of your assets are in Ethereum, and it goes up the minimum that it will go up, then you now have more assets than you did before. So if your goal is to make money, and you have more than 5% of your assets in Ethereum, then you support the change. Because you will have more money in 1 or 2 months than you do today. A lot more money and a lot more future wealth potential. But, you know, if the goal is just to, like if you're a SIA coin miner.
Right.
If you're a SIA coin miner, hate Ethereum, will never buy Ethereum, then you do not support this change.
Yeah.
Because it reduces the amount of mining demand to the Bitcoin space in general. But the other thing is, there's not a single stable asset out there. Bitcoin is not stable at a fixed rate of 4% of its value to mining, and it needs to be something that effectively, in my opinion, cuts in half every 6 months. So what Ethereum could do if it makes the change is it will become the first stable blockchain cryptocurrency that will essentially be around forever. It will have more money invested in it than anything ever. It will, in 2 years, can easily have, but 2 years could potentially have $1 trillion market cap. So when you talk about the predictability for demand in cryptocurrency of mining, if Ethereum takes off like I think it will, the demand will be substantially more than it is today because it now dominates the world currency.
Right.
Yeah, if all your U.S. dollars and stocks and euros went away and everything was now valued in Ethereum bucks, I mean, the value of owning mining equipment which protects the Ethereum bucks, which is the only currency used in the world or the main currency used in the world,
would go up.
I mean, it's just worth it's worth more than it is today.
For sure, yeah.
Because today it's very niche.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, I guess, it's going to be hard. I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of a passive way. I don't know. It's kind of a risk. The reward to risk is a lot better with mining, I feel like. It's kind of the reason I invested in it.
Well, with mining, you're in mining you're investing in every startup because basically startups overpay for their mining equipment, and also startup chains are not competitive. So whenever you mine, you're effectively just buying a random assortment of ICOs, and you can sort of decide which one you want to buy in kind of a last minute fashion, because you could just turn your miner on to, like, if Tezos paid their miners, you could just turn your miner on to Tezos after the ICO has been done, and if you're there in the first 3 months, you're probably getting paid more than you really should be, and then you acquire a lot of Tezos. And then you're like, I'll just hold it. It was a hobby to start with. But if your goal is to acquire Ethereum, then you just sell the Tezos every day and buy your Ethereum at markets, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that's what Patrick was saying. He's probably gonna do with his Tezos. He's not gonna.
Just sell them and buy Ethereum.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I do.
If Ethereum does what I suggested does, then
It's definitely the currency you want to put.
it's
your
the
ass-
only currency you'll ever want to own.
Yeah.
If it does what I think it should do, but I do have some subsidiaries of Ethereum, Steam, and I got Gollum, kind of half on accident, but it's all good.
Oh yeah. I think it was Gnosis or something.
Yeah, that is Genosis. And then
you got any
I got
bad or-
GNT. I can't recall.
That's
which one it
Golem.
is.
That's Golem.
That's Golem. Yeah.
Golem network token.
Yeah, it's all good. But its supercomputer's awesome. And then
Yeah.
so there you go. So I got the subsidiaries of ETH. If ETH goes up, then I figure Steam it will go up by more.
Yeah.
I got just Bitcoin, ETH, Steam, and Gollum at this point, and that's pretty much it. I'm about 80 to. I've actually got rid of all my Bitcoins. Yeah, because once they cut ETH from 5 blocks to 3 blocks, I was 100% confident that ETH will be worth more 1 month from now than it is today. So I traded over to ETH.
Yeah, I saw that. That
And-
was
and-
luckily a lot of my position today that
Yeah.
was in the gains because I like doing the ETH to Bitcoin because they're so correlated.
Yeah.
If it's going to go down, at least you're not going to go down. You don't lose as much, and if it goes up, you don't gain as much as you do versus the dollar, but you still gain because Ethereum. And I think over the long term, Ethereum's price is going to outpace Bitcoin's.
Well, Ethereum is going to have a fixed price the same as Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So if Ethereum is fixed at 3 blocks,
Mhm.
then Ethereum will never go above it'll never stabilize above $400. The
So you
price
gotta
of
keep that
Ethereum,
ratio in mind.
yeah, the price of Ethereum is completely dependent upon whatever the block reward is, and unless there's a system where the block reward is getting cut in half or reduced at some semi-regular interval,
Mhm.
then there's no option for the Ethereum price to go up. So what you'll see happen is that the Ethereum price might, for one day, go to $600, where Ethereum then is spending 300 million every month for this thing, which it was spending like 40 million for previously. And once it spends like 300 million on it, you'll see the price of Ethereum go from 600 to 100. And then it'll
Yeah.
stabilize back at 300. It will not stabilize above like 240 or thereabouts. It's kind of unfortunate. But 6% inflation is insanely high for an asset of this size. For an asset of this size, it's insanely high. But if it goes down to 2%, frankly, and even if it never changed again, I bet you it would escalate for quite a while just because 2% inflation is so ridiculously low.
Yeah.
However, still, even if it just went to eventually 1 block to like a quarter of a block, less than 1%, and then it stayed fixed at permanently or whatever,
Mhm.
you'd still have a new crypto eventually come and take its place, because the issue is the waste of the blockchain and fixed dollars is super important in terms of the future price of the coin. So in terms of Ethereum versus Bitcoin, for one thing, one in 25 Bitcoiners need to recruit one person versus 1 in 9 Ethereum people.
Yeah.
Well, that alone is a big changeover. You know,
Because they're paying so much more per month
because
to
of the
secure-
inflation,
yeah.
4% versus 11. Not net pay. Net pay doesn't really matter. What really matters is the percent. So it's 4% Bitcoin, 11% for Ethereum. Ethereum pays more
Mhm.
than Bitcoin in flat dollars as well, and that's the real issue. So if Ethereum and Bitcoin were equally popular, if they were equally popular, then the amount that they pay for hash power would reach an equilibrium where they both pay the exact same amount. Because if I'm destroying 1.6
Yeah.
billion dollars and I have the predictable amount of people coming in, and if Ethereum destroys 1.6 billion dollars and they have the exact same number of people coming in, and let's just pretend the net after this is 0, so the price does not move up or down, assuming everyone who holds Ethereum and Bitcoin continues to hold, just wait for that one magical day.
Yeah.
But in either case,
Hodl.
HODL! But in either case, if they have same demand and they then essentially their price will go up until their demand is destroyed. And the way you destroy it is by having your market cap da 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 da. So as it goes from, like, if Bitcoin was to double and it was to go from 1.6 billion to 3.2 billion destroyed every year, then in order for it to be sustainable, they have to literally double demand without having like any change in the price. Without having any change in the price. So, and then conversely, if Ethereum doubled its demand or something, and it was at like 2% or whatever the case was, then its price would go up substantially. So that's how you challenge a blockchain. Is Bitcoin is literally cannot go higher than it is essentially today, because it will destroy the value, new investor value, at a quicker and quicker rate if you try to make it worth more. The more you try to make Bitcoin worth, the quicker it tries to kill the people that you bring in.
Yeah.
So it's not really Bitcoin essentially will never be worth Bitcoin will essentially never be worth less than 1,500 or so, because this is when the cost goes down to about 1 billion, which is about equal with all your major ones.
Then what made it go up from like 1,000 in 2013? Like, what caused those big wide price variations before?
It's because it cut its block reward.
Is that what that was when it swapped from 50 to 25 the first time?
Well, it went from, so this was 4, and then about when the first market spike of Bitcoin happened, it went from like being worth $100 to $300, and that's when it cut its block reward from 8 to 4. So it cut its block percent of inflation from 8% to 4%, and then the price tripled, and it stabilized at 300% more than it was before. And then again, Bitcoin cut its block reward from.
But then it went back down. It went from
it went from 16 to 12 to 8, and then 8 to 4.
Well, yeah, the block reward did, but what I'm saying is the price of Bitcoin plummeted back down though. So, like, just because it doesn't necessarily stabilize the price as much as what I'm getting.
It does actually stabilize the price to some degree.
Yeah.
Because the reason is that Bitcoin at 4% is the lowest inflation on the market. Now let's pretend Bitcoin was 20% inflation, then it would just no longer be viable. But so long.
Nothing that big, yeah.
Well, so long as Bitcoin remains the lowest percent on the market, or whoever is the market leader in terms of least amount of inflation, they naturally have the highest amount of price growth, given the same amount of demand as the others.
Yeah.
If you fix demand, the one with the least inflation increases the price the fastest, and has the highest stability factor.
Yeah.
The highest stability factor.
Yeah, because, well, obviously, like, whatever's got the less inflation is going to have the highest stability factor, right?
Yes.
Sensibly, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Inherently.
Well, I do want to just say there's one thing with that which does get confusing, is you want to look at the fixed dollar value more than inflation overall.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, let's just say Bitcoin and Ethereum or whatever the hell. Bitcoin has 11. Let's pretend Ethereum was fixed at 6% inflation. At no point would Ethereum ever be less costly for the same dollar value as Bitcoin, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think so the main thing I want to talk about there is, so Bitcoin is spending 4%, which effectively destroys $120 million every month.
Mm-hmm.
So Dash spends 10%. So they have significantly more inflation than Bitcoin at 10% than 4%. But Bitcoin is destroying $120 million. Dash is destroying about $1 million. So even though Bitcoin is less percent inflation than Dash, the actual dollar cost is significantly more, and this effectively determines how many new investors you need to recruit in order to break even. Dash needs to recruit 200 new Dash investors every month, I believe, in order to break even. Bitcoin needs to recruit 40,000. or something like that.
Yeah.
So when you look at that stuff, that's why the
And when you
the
say that,
numerical
though,
value matters when you think about how many new investors are destroyed.
and when you say new investor, you're kind of assuming that each person's going to buy one coin.
No, $5,000.
$5,000. Okay.
Yeah. So when I say
Makes
$40,000 who are willing to put 40,000 people who are willing to put up $5,000.
Okay.
So I'm using investor as like a fairly sizable investor.
Yeah, I would say that.
So
Most people probably don't invest that much on their first.
Well, they
They
start
might
off
though.
with 1,000.
I don't know people.
They start
in
off with
California or
1,000 and then
something.
they eventually get to 5,000.
Someone in California could be like, "This is pocket change. Just give me 100."
But just to be clear, Ethereum in the month of June burned $55,000, 55,000 people's worth of investments if they had all invested 5,000 each.
Yeah.
So $55,000 people could put in $5,000 toward Ethereum, and they just literally put it in a pile, set it on fire, and then the month of July, here we are.
Well, the miners get that pile.
Well, yes, but
as far as the
they're getting
ecosystem.
paid like 5 times more than they were just a few months prior to that. Yeah.
That's why we bought
Yeah,
equipment.
yeah. You get paid 5 times more than you were the month prior. So like, there's going to be one coin that eventually eliminates inflation. This is the biggest risk, the blockchain. If you're trying to actually destroy Ethereum or destroy Bitcoin,
Yeah.
it's incredibly simple. All you have to do is buy a blockchain, do the thing that I said, and become the biggest blockchain, and there you are. If if you wanted to destroy Ethereum, it's way cheaper. Rather than spending 500 million or 2 billion to attack the hash power, it is just cheaper to buy a coin and turn the rate of inflation down from 3% to 1%, and then you'll naturally grow faster than Ethereum.
Yeah.
Your price will stabilize at a higher point. And for the same recruitment level, your price will be triple that. Because at the same recruitment level, your price has to be 3 times more to stabilize the expense.
Right.
So you'll naturally go to, so that's how you destroy Ethereum, is you just make a better coin. It's much easier to just make a better blockchain than it is to actually attack a blockchain.
Yeah. And I think, that's what you see with the EOS and Tezos and all these other people that are coming out now. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest threat. Like, so I'm guessing you saw the post or the tweet where John McAfee said that he's going to eat his dick on national TV if it's price.
What?
He's going to eat his dick on national television.
Hey, if Bitcoin goes to $5,000?
If it doesn't, yeah.
Oh, it will not. I will clarify for you, it will not.
Well, you hear that, John McAfee?
No,
Get your skillet ready.
No, I'm 100% confident it will not go to 5,000. Now, I mean, you know why.
Wrong bet time.
No.
No.
You know why.
Because of what we just explained, and their
Yeah,
burn rate.
they'll burn 3.5 billion annually when all their competitors are burning 100 million.
Yeah.
So if you burn 3.4 billion more than everybody else, or if you burn, if your waste of resources is 35 times every competitor, and if your inflation rate is not even great, 4% is not fantastic. If it was 1%, 2%, then at least you could say that it's economically still sustainable, even though it's still a ridiculous amount of money. But there's no way Bitcoin goes to 5,000. It will never go above 3,000. It will never go above 3,000. I'll just tell you.
50, honestly. Let me double check.
He said 5. It will never go to 5.
Did he really? Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you with 100% confidence and positivity, it never will. The only coin that will break $200 billion or $150 billion market cap is a coin that has a rate of inflation of 1% or less. 1%, somewhere in there.
He says above 500,000 within 3 years. Excuse me.
500,000 in 3 years, no. You want me to tell you what will happen? You want me to tell you what will happen?
Well, let's hear it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is what will happen.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
What will happen is the Ethereum community will hopefully listen to some of the stuff I'm saying, and they'll take advice to this, and this will get implemented in Metropolis. I feel very confident these ideas will be implemented in Metropolis. And if Ethereum gets their rate of inflation below 4%, so all they have to do is be below Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
But I do recommend following the approach I say here. But if Ethereum gets their inflation rate below 4%, then Bitcoin will just go away. If you have a
viable investment anymore.
if you have a less inflationary product that's of comparable size and interest level,
Well,
then Bitcoin just disappears.
Yeah, because there's nothing Bitcoin can do that Ethereum can't.
Or vice versa, yeah.
Well, yeah, there's lots of stuff Ethereum can do that Bitcoin can't.
Okay, sorry. Yes, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. So yeah, but if Ethereum has a inflationary rate of 2% and Bitcoin has a rate of 4%, then that means in order to sustain the same number of people, Bitcoin has to have twice the level of interest. They will not,
I don't. Yeah.
And then Ethereum would go down to 1%, and then Bitcoin would have to have 4 times the level of interest. And then if Ethereum goes down to less than 1%, then Bitcoin would have to have 8 times the level of interest. It's just not really feasible for anything to outpace an extremely low inflationary currency, which naturally causes its price to double every time it cuts the rate of inflation in half. And then as you cut the rate of inflation in half and the price doubles, well, guess what? The interest level will more likely than not increase. That's my opinion. And then if the market cap goes from 5 billion, 50 billion, or whatever the case, to $1 trillion, and it becomes the world dominant currency, again, interest level going to go up. I don't even think cutting the inflation rate every 6 months is sufficient. I really think it needs to be every 3 months, 50% cut. That's my personal opinion. But 6 months is, reasonable.
It somewhat depends on the growth of the price. Like you can't keep cutting the resources if they're not going to have the same security threshold.
No. They have the U.S. See this again. The same U.S. dollar expenditure is consistent all the time.
Right.
The U.S. So you're never cutting how much you spend on mining. How much you spend on mining is the same every single month. All you're cutting is the percent that you spend. So if you have $10 and you spend 10% of that on mining, it's $1. If you have $100 and you spend 1% on mining, it's $1. It's $1 still.
Yeah.
So 10% of 10 or 1% of 100, still $1.
Right.
So that's all Ethereum will do. So the amount of money that will be spent on mining will remain consistent.
But surely it takes more resources to secure
a larger chain? No, it doesn't.
It's the same amount of computers.
It's literally only one computer. It only takes one computer to run every blockchain.
Well, yeah.
There's no blockchain on Earth that requires more than one.
Then
computer.
You don't have any redundancy, and if
well, they will have more than one. They will always spend more than $1 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, at the slowest imaginable growth rate that I can foresee, Ethereum will always spend more than $1 billion a year. So, just to be clear, they spent $100 million for all of 2016. I'm effectively suggesting they lock in spending 1.1 billion, so 12 times more than that amount.
Yeah.
Or that all they spend in 2016 for every single month effectively in the future. But the difference is, if you, in terms of marketing power and public interest, if you are 6%, if your market is, you're a marketer and you're trying to get somebody interested in your product,
yeah,
and you tell them it has an 8% rate of inflation,
good luck.
Yeah, they don't care. That's nothing special.
You better have a 16% ROI.
Yeah, if you're Bitcoin and you have 4%, you say I'm the lowest I'm the lowest rate of inflation cryptocurrency in the world, and this is your only selling point effectively. If Ethereum goes down to 2% rate of inflation, the difference between marketing 6% rate of inflation versus marketing 2% rate of inflation, at 2% you're the lowest rate of inflation worldwide. The only thing that is marginally close is US dollars, etc.
Yeah.
So, and the interest level will naturally be so much more effectively, thus the price will be so much more, and then when it comes to how much the miners will make, they will literally, honestly make more because the currency actually has a consistent interest. Bitcoin, I mentioned.
Yeah, you want to incentivize. I still feel like you have to incentivize the miners.
Of course you do. But Bitcoin will be a price of $2,000 for the next 3.5 years. So let me just, and you can sort of piece this together, but you know, what's the stability or what's the strength of cryptocurrency if for the next 4 years the number one cryptocurrency, if it remained Bitcoin? What's the strength of cryptocurrency if it goes from $2,000 to $2,000 in 3.5 years? It doesn't feel strong.
No, I was about to say that doesn't bode well for much strength.
No, it doesn't bode well for
Because
strength.
all the other assets are going to grow more, or most
Yes,
assets. Under the sun,
assets grow something.
Yeah.
Assets grow something, and Bitcoin will not grow for 3.5 years, and I can promise you that. And so, what will happen is that people will feel unsecure in the crypto market. Now, if you have another crypto market where one asset goes from being worth $200 to being worth $18,000,
Yeah.
well, of course, that bodes well. And then in terms of the amount of people interested in valuing the security of the asset, it goes from $30 billion to $1 trillion of interest in securing the asset. That bodes well in terms of the need of your future security.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's just talk about the related blockchains. Like Bitcoin, if you're a miner and Bitcoin takes off and does extraordinarily well, it doesn't necessarily create a whole bunch of ICO type of products. If Ethereum takes off and does extraordinarily well, it necessarily makes all these on top of applications which it was designed to do.
Right.
So you'll inevitably end up with a whole ton of SIA type operations, and thus the overall demand for mining, which drives the price of mining, will go up substantially. So even if Ethereum reduces the percent it pays of mining by 80%,
Mm-hmm.
the overall demand for miners will increase. It will literally drop for one single month. Every month after that, it will be more than it was before. Every month after 1 month after the change, the overall demand for mining will be more than it was before. As the price of Ethereum goes from 200 to 600 and the 1200, which
Yeah.
it would do if it did the things that I recommend, the interest in blockchain will go bonanzas. As the market cap of Ethereum goes from 30 billion to 500 billion to $1 trillion, the interest in blockchain goes bonanzas.
Yeah, I did some well, I've done a lot of thinking over the last week, but especially because I've kind of been backed against the wall. But yeah, I seriously, the more and more I think about it, I really think this is going to be one of the greatest technology advances in my lifetime, if not.
Oh, blockchain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as the implementation and how it changes society.
And you're right.
Because the internet's kind of like, I was like 6 when that happened, essentially.
Yeah.
When it caught on. Really.
Yeah, I always kind of think about it in terms of financial reward. The blockchain will be the biggest financial reward I will probably receive in my lifetime. My little, and I feel like I'm investing in Tesla, when a young Tesla or something like this.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that. Nice. Yeah, spot on assessment. Yeah, I feel like that technology, it's actually innovative technology, and it's filling a need, a global need, and I really think that it's gonna catch on and take off. And it's basically just, gotta watch the market and make sure that I'm not just completely like, it's gonna go nothing but straight to the moon and to the sun. I mean, there's gonna be some drawdowns and stuff along the way. And
well, the price will literally stay flat as long as the block reward is flat. You can use these, and you have access to these charts.
Yeah.
You can predict with an insanely high degree of certainty what the price of the coin will stabilize at, and Bitcoins will stabilize for 3.5 years. It will not change.
You don't think it's going to go?
I'm positive. I'm absolutely 300% positive.
What caused the big increase from 1,000 to 3,000?
It dropped from 4% to 2%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It dropped from 4% to 2%.
What dropped 4% to 2%?
The inflation rate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How did that drop exactly? Like, what happened?
It's fundamental in the system that every 5 years it will cut itself in half.
Oh, okay.
But it should be every 6 months, and the reason I say that is basically what Satoshi predicted would be the interest in blockchain in 2009, what he predicted it would be in 2017, is less accurate than someone predicting what it is in 2017
Well, yeah.
will be in 2017.
Because, of course, right, they've got a lot more information.
Well, yeah, they know what the price is today, so there you go.
Yeah, they've got 8 years of extra data that he does.
Yeah, 8 years of extra data. So that's why Satoshi did it his way, but he just said every 5 years, which was just some, like, random amount he picked. But it should drop every... if you say that the interest in Ethereum will outpace the interest in computers by roughly 800%, which I suspect, 400%, then it should drop every 6 months. If you believe it'll outpace the computers by 1600%, then it should drop every 3 months in half. But, you know, one thing I'll say, certainly by 400%, may be questionable about the 1600%. That might be questionable.
Yeah.
But 400%, computers are only going to go up 5% in value, maximum.
Right.
Maybe 10% in value.
And they're going to go down in value, honest. I think your dad's pretty spot on.
Yeah, they probably go down if anything.
Yeah.
But, you know, between 5 to 10% in value, if Ethereum goes up 40% in value, then it's outpaced computers by 400%. And that's my prediction as to what it will, that's what you can essentially plan on.
Do you think, so like right now, we're getting a little bit of a sell-off. Do you have like any stops in, or like what
I don't have any stops, but if it goes back up to $300 or whatever, $400, it will not sustain a price above 400. So if it goes to 400, I'll get rid of it because I know it will go down as long as it remains at 3 ETH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so basically, you're just gonna kind of adjust it to that $200 threat, based on wherever we are.
I'll calculate whatever I feel is the stability price, which will be fairly well known, and then as the price stabilizes, I will assume that investor interest drops off, which means the stability price actually goes down. You know, so, and then also as the price goes up and then does not secure itself at the higher price, investor interest will go down again. So basically I'm just going to plan on those assessments and then try to make a fucking shit ton of money.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a fair assessment there. It's nothing, I don't think is... It's nothing that's impossible or unobtainable. You want here to take a piss or something? You still going?
Yeah, I think so. Alright, hopefully
Yeah,
that...
long one today, like 3.5 hours of video footage.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
So if it's at 220, you're probably landing. I'm tending, because of the recent run up, I think it's